back in the before times. I believe it was June of 2019. We covered a little subject in response to the housing market debacle in the Final Fantasy XIV MMO.
Oh, no. Why do I feel like I'm about to get attacked?
From what I've heard, we may have an update on that. Chelsea?
Yeah.
Sorry, and not to harass you 2 cold openings in a row, but do you care to maybe explain yourself and what you've been up to this past week? It
was like 24 hours. Maybe a little bit more.
Okay, the Discord stream, I think, read...
No, that's how long I was playing the game, and I don't close out.
I thought it was
how
no. Okay.
Okay, so...
the length of the stream.
Okay, where do I start? Okay, so housing is even more fucked than before, somehow.
Which last time we reviewed this, it seemed like it was
getting
dire.
Better. No, they were trying to fix it. But
they did suspend shit with the COVID last year.
So 4 houses on my server went up the other day, all at the same time. So I'm guessing they started relinquishing land again. And I only noticed because one of those was across from my FC house. And I panicked and I was like, holy fuck, a house. I lost my personal house. So I tried to jump on it, but I didn't realize they made a new rule. And that rule is when someone relinquishes the land, the house cannot be purchased until a random hidden timer goes off. And it's not by the hour, it's by the minute. So it can go off. Yes. So, new to me. I didn't know about this. Like, I haven't played in 4 years, so it could be 4 years old and I wouldn't know.
You did take a bit of a break.
So, I heard someone trying to buy one of the house near me spoke of the other 3 houses for sale. So, and one of them was in the area I really like. It's the lavender beds. So that was the first one I tried. And I'm not going to say I ran a script and broke the terms of service in the game on a podcast. Because that's a bannable offense.
That's it. We got her, you guys.
What I will say...
The Square Enix police are at the door. Come in, boys.
You just hear banging and they take me away. They take me to the GM jail.
Oh, shit.
Shit.
That's the fuzz.
There is a jail cell. There is a jail cell in that game.
What?
You get. I've only seen screenshots because I'm a good kid who doesn't run scripts to buy houses.
Well, I don't know what's worse, by the way, that you did this or that there was an audience for it for the better part of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's. I'll try to make this quick.
I tuned in to watch and I was like, oh, what's going on in here? And then I messaged you and I was like, This is a bot? Like, why
no, it was not a bot. Not a bot, Randall.
15 seconds.
I was doing those inputs. Anyway, so the first house I tried to get, somebody else got it before I did. I was upset, but so a friend explained to me that if you own a house and another plot goes on sale, you don't have to wait for the timer. You could relocate your house to the better plot. You have to pay again. You don't get like a discount, but you don't have to wait for the timer. So I was like, fuck it. He was like, just buy any plot you can. And then when a house that you want goes for sale, you could just buy it without having to do this. And I was like, okay, I got it. The rich
get richer.
The rich get richer. Yeah, that literally, Final Fantasy is so fucked. So anyway, I was like, okay. So I went 10:30 in the morning the next day from trying to get the other house. I went to one of the other open plots. I did not run a script. But for the entire time I did these inputs by hand, I'm just very consistent. For 14 motherfucking hours, this script was not running. Just for somebody else to fucking take it.
You had like an entire audience going on.
So I streamed it in Discord the entire time.
It was a spectacle. Yeah.
And it was like...
And you are currently still homeless, correct?
I'm currently still homeless. That is correct, yeah. I have the FC house, which I haven't decorated yet because I'm lazy and poor. But, yeah, and that's what I kept telling myself, too. And I was like, well, you have a large to decorate you haven't done yet. So, like, maybe you don't need the small house. As I watched this fucking game, I could not use my computer for 14 hours.
I was going to say, the level of dedication, it's like your computer did nothing but just try and buy this house for you.
Weren't there alarms set in your phone for various...
Oh, yeah, okay, so the first... I was afraid that if I didn't run this bot, which is what I'm saying to say I was running this script because I don't want to get banned, but I was afraid that if I purchased the house while I was AFK, I didn't know what those inputs would do once the house was purchased. I was afraid that like they'd accidentally relinquish
Sell the
the
house.
land.
I mean, what's funny is that you lost to somebody who was also had to be doing the exact same thing.
I don't know if the first house she was, because she gloated in chat when she bought it. I looked at the chat log. She was like gloating and shit when she bought the house, and it
That
like
doesn't
instantaneously.
Prove.
The other person though was definitely AFK, the second house, because she was still, you could still see her doing those inputs well after she had bought the house. So fuck her.
That was Chloe's friend, correct?
Yeah, that was Chloe's
friend was a username. Also, I just
no,
have
it
to
wasn't her username. You could have like little titles. That was her
Yeah.
title, was Chloe's friend.
I say we go find Chloe and dox her, just straight up.
Chloe's an NPC.
Oh, Chloe's okay. Well, you know what? When we dox her though, give her the address of the house that she bought
When
in
we
the
when
game.
we
not her
dox
actual-
the
even know
Final
what the
Fantasy
fuck you-
servers.
Yeah. I also have to say I'm very amused by
I
the
missed
fact.
a good portion of this.
It was hypnotizing. I couldn't stop watching.
I would say it's very amusing that Final Fantasy implemented like a form of like quantitative easing. They're like, no, we're gonna let up on foreclosing your Final Fantasy houses in these troubling times. In these unprecedented times. Unprecedented times. And then it's like the second the timer was up, all these people who had never logged in like a year.
I don't know if that's what it was. It's weird that 4 houses went up all at once, but only 4? That doesn't seem right to me.
All right. Well, we're living in a
Anyway,
nightmare.
yeah. Can we stop talking about how sad my life is?
And we are back with Night Trap
Night Trap.
Part 2. A topic apparently so deep that it spawned a unplanned second episode for us to get into. I also apologize for that hangnail way we ended before, but we're all just too damn passionate about this fucking thing, it seems like, and that sudden stop was done just a bit off the cuff there. Now, where we last left off was right before everyone's favorite segment of the story, when the government comes in.
My favorite segment of the story was the plot recap.
It's so bad.
But
I
first-
was jumping all over the place. Listen, when the plot doesn't make sense, the recap's not going to make sense either.
Listen, I started editing the first part. You did an admirable job for how fucked up and diced up that plot already
I
is.
thought about that later. Like, Randall was talking about something, and, I can't concentrate. And I was like, oh, fuck, what did I say? I don't think any of that made sense.
Well, in case people don't already know, this is Hot Button, official Night Trap podcast, starring me,
Wait.
Randall Beatrice, along with Austin Blakesley,
Night Trap.
Matt Nudaboom,
Hello.
and Chelsea Romano.
Night Trap. I do have a question. So I know the bit was to end the first episode with Night Trap and start this one with Night Trap. Is that still happening? Does that mean people know what the song sounds like and they know how bad my Night Trap is?
They'll know.
Every time
Damn.
we say that, by the way, I just hear Love Shack by the B-52s in my head for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, one
Night
of
Trap,
those,
baby, Night Trap.
Love Shack.
one of those is a better song,
Yeah, Night Trap.
Night Trap.
Am I right?
obviously.
That is like the weakest B-52s track.
Yeah, Love Shack was always like that was always the song that came on at like a parents' party when like the parents are just getting really
Yes.
sauced and they're like, "Oh yeah, Love Shack."
It
And
is
like,
one
why
of
does
those
why does
songs.
every
Love
parent
Parents
love this
and
song?
Me.
Why
Hot
is
take,
everyone's
Love
keys
Shack
in a bowl?
better than Rock Lobster. Come at me.
Yeah, God, I am not a fan of Rock Lobster.
No one likes Rock Lobster.
Rock Lobster's kind of a jam, and then it goes on too long and gets
It
way
goes
too
on
silly.
way too long.
But the "Give Me Back My Man," that's a fucking.
Of course.
Who is
That's
she?
You
song.
can't mention a band from the 80s without Randy bringing up a song no one's ever heard of.
That's not true. People know that song.
Really? What's your favorite Joy Division song?
Disorder. Track
There you
1,
go.
side 1. Unknown
Point
Pleasures. That's
proven.
not.
I thought that was a
Sorry, I
System
didn't
of
name
a
their
Down
one
song.
single.
I thought Unknown Pleasures was the name they made up for that shirt in Ready Player One. Anyway, continue.
Fucking. All right, who's ready?
Yep.
Let's
Night
roll.
Trap. Oh, now I have Love Shack stuck in my head.
So here's the craziest part about all this of what we're about to get into, the controversy. I have to jump ahead quite a bit in the timeline for us to even make it there. Night Trap landed in mid-October 1992. Happy Halloween. And I couldn't pull up any solid or like detailed evidence of there being any pushback whatsoever for the first almost year it was out. The previews and reviews reflected that too. No one was really talking about that aspect of it in that way at all. Like, enthusiasts were completely aware of what it was, but does anyone want to take a guess what brought it back into the public eye? Well, not back maybe. Early sales for it were fine, but by here, most folks playing games already moved on to things such as this.
I was going to say, since no one really knew what it was, I could explain the plot really well if you wanted
No,
me to
that's
do that.
your plot explanation, while I complimented it already, is most of the reason this is 2 parts. So I think we're good. My guess is Hillary Clinton. Am I right?
Well, I was gonna say a game
Lock her
specifically,
up, am I right?
a different game.
I bet
Oh,
it-
Mortal Kombat.
There you go. Also has a
Lethal
jam
Enforcers.
attached to it.
Street
Lethal,
Fighter 2.
Lethal Enforcers is a part.
the launch
No,
of the
Street
Sega
Fighter-
Saturn just swept the world.
Street Fighter 2 is a wholesome game.
Listen,
Not a
Night Trap
fatality
will
in
never
sight.
be on a Nintendo
There's
console.
a-
I promise you that.
There's a level in Street Fighter 2 where you just beat the shit out of a BMW. So if you think about it, it's kind of like a anti-capitalist game.
No, of course.
That's a good observation.
We've gotten to the chapter where MK enters the stage. Thank you, Chelsea. Well, I guess I should say enters the living room, as it was already long playable in arcades everywhere since about a week before Night Trap, actually. So,
Really? That came out that close together?
yeah.
Wow.
And question, is this you're talking like the first Mortal Kombat, like the prototype?
MK1.
MK1.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I played MK1 on the Sega upstairs, and it's
Did
just
you
like
put in the cheat?
I did not put in the cheat. I did beat. I
What are
actually
you even doing?
Wait, did I? I might have.
Abacab.
And I beat the ladder mode. I gotta
No,
say, man.
Sorry to interrupt. He played it on Genesis.
Oh, yeah,
you were
I
playing
played on
You
Genesis.
didn't need a code. Because
Yeah, no, you need a code.
For blood?
Mm-hmm.
Not on the Genesis
Yes,
one.
you did. You needed a code. The SNES one didn't have the option. The Genesis one, it was
Right,
locked behind.
You're right.
It. Yeah.
Wow. Blood was enabled by default. Sounds very controversial.
No, sweat
No.
was enabled by default.
Yeah, it was sweat.
Those men are so sweaty.
Yeah, especially when you rip their spines out. They're
Yeah,
all
so
covered
much
in sweat.
That's
Just
how
sweaty men.
which I'll get to this later, but that's how Mortal Kombat on the Genesis initially had an MA13 rating because it was the content was
Wait, is it MA mature adult? So mature 13-year-old adult?
this was Sega's kind of guidelines.
Mature
before.
13-year-old
You
is an
become-
oxymoron.
you
There's no
become-
such thing.
You become a mature adult either at the age of 40 or 12. There's no in
There's
between.
no routine.
Yeah. Also, recurring segment on Hot Button, arcade games that I beat Randy at. Mortal Kombat 1.
Is the other one
That's
Tetris?
true.
The other one is
The-
Tetris.
the-
Wow.
No, on a broken cabinet.
You should get a Tetris tattoo, Austin. I think you've earned it.
Yeah.
You try playing that game without being able to rotate the blocks. It's way harder.
Yeah, I'm
As it
sure
turns
that's
out.
what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mortal Kombat, you beat me fair and square though, many times.
Always making
Hot,
excuses.
hot tip from a pro, just uppercut the whole time. That's the only good move in Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah, I think that's how I beat it too. I come to
Uh-huh.
think of it. Yeah.
Just uppercut the whole time.
I'm not even
The
jo- I
uppercut
just-
does like a third of their health bar. It is so easy to land.
Yeah, no, I think that's how I cheesed it.
Yep.
I beat it with I think I just beat it with Liu Kang, and I did beat the ladder once using mostly uppercut, but on the third uppercut, they kind of get smart, and then they block it.
The
So then-
AI wise.
And then you just do another random move, and then go back to uppercutting, and that's
Yeah.
all you have to pretty much
You gotta
do.
you gotta throw them for a loop for a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's just very weird going
So
back.
what you're saying is you can't use like a script in order to.
Listen, I didn't use the script. That's
All right.
a bannable offense.
So it still wasn't until September 13th of 1993 on Acclaim's $10 million fueled Mortal Monday campaign to bring MK to the Super Nintendo and Genesis that overly concerned parents and other wussy adults began to really pay attention to violent content in video games after all those sales got, so explosive.
And then they won, right? And they never made another violent video game after that?
yeah, that was
and,
it.
and now America is the safest country. It's
The two-
very peaceful. Nothing
Yeah.
ever happens.
The two most violent video games ever made, Night Trap and Mortal Kombat 1. They stopped after that. It's all
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
puppy dogs and rainbows,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
That's why we're such a calm country.
That's why Final Fantasy is all about buying houses and swimming or in whatever.
And sexy bunny ladies.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
So, however, there were still some rumblings even prior to this. Remember, Mortal Kombat was the most played arcade cabinet ever in between its launch there and at home. Not to mention, Wolfenstein 3D was out at this point. I think that was the previous May. And speaking of, Doom's first release was set for later that
Doom's
year
not
as
violent
well.
at all. What is it? What's the thing? Kisses and hugs? Isn't that what he said? That's the like catchphrase. I know.
Doom guy.
Yeah, it's kisses and hugs.
Kisses and hugs.
Mhm.
That has
Not
to
rip
be a
and
shame.
tear.
And that game was showing up in press releases, and then gaming magazines were covering it. And
But
No
those
show
of
that.
us that listened or recorded, I guess, the Supreme Court episode of that
Yes.
was a two-parter on the Supreme Court's dig into violent video games. As long as your enemies are Nazis or aliens or monsters, you're good.
it's
Yeah.
true.
You can rip apart aliens all you want.
Yeah.
You just can't do it to
What
other...
about Demon Spawn?
Yeah, those
Yeah,
are
that's
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The specific example they gave...
It can't be stumbling toothless vampires.
The
Though.
specific example
hot
that they
co-eds.
gave was if you were to play a Star Trek game, you couldn't kill the humans, but you could kill the whatever Spock Vulcans because they have pointy ears and that's
they
not
have pointy
human.
ears.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's right. Those photoshops are pretty good.
Yeah, they just started photoshopping pointy ears onto Call of Duty soldiers.
Now, before anyone corrects me, Mortal Kombat 1 was touted as being, I think, one of the I don't know if it was maybe number one. That title could still go to Space Invaders or something for all I know. It's tough to track this shit, and as you said, Austin, some of this next stuff I'm going to get into we did previously cover on what I believe was our first major multi-parter on the formation of the ESRB. I'm not going to retell that entire story, but instead just the highlights and the Night Trap parts.
I believe our second multi-parter.
Oh, was it?
I think our first multi-parter was the Columbine one.
Oh, okay, you might be right. I know
Remember-
we did the contest thing before that, but that was a little different.
Randy likes to cover a lot of very violent video games. Like
But they stopped making them.
I know. Well, the Columbine one was
Fan?
homemade.
Continue.
I don't know if I want to say fan made because he wasn't
Continue.
exactly a fan of Columbine. But yeah, that was
brewed.
homebrew. That's it, like
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the last violent video game. And then Randy also covered the ESRB thing and Night Trap. We have yet to do a Mortal Kombat episode.
I also did Hatred.
No, that's not violent.
Oh, yeah, Randy
They
likes
stopped
to-
making violent video games.
Randy likes to cover conservative Nazi games too.
God, what is this? What is this? A podcast about controversial, scandalous games?
Yeah,
Come on.
may I remind you?
Yeah, where's all the wholesome content that I'm after?
No, it's called hot button because you know when you charge your controller too much and then you pick it up too early and you go, ooh, hot.
Ooh, hot.
Yeah.
All right, so let's find out just how Mortal Kombat got the ball rolling, and who else exactly shined the spotlight on Night Trap.
Night Trap.
So Sega, they were honestly pretty forward-thinking with the whole thing. Like they foresaw the inevitable mortal panic that was brewing, and they decided upon hearing from the Better Business Bureau regarding talks of politicians that the world of video was about to be making its way to being under scrutiny, decided to jump ahead of the curve and create a games rating system of their own that we already hinted at earlier. Thus, in 1993, the following system was debuted for all Sega products. Big bold tags that read either GA for general audiences, MA13 for, I guess, mature teenagers.
13-year-old.
Mature adult 13.
Yeah. And finally, MA17 for the adults 17 and up.
Yeah, adults.
Mature adults.
Mature 17-year-old adults.
You get half mature when you're 13. You fully mature at 17
Or 40.
or 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when word started to get passed around that Mortal Kombat was like, oh, this could be kind of this seems kind of brutal. There might be some negative blowback, response to this. That's when they were just like, all right, well, before any of this shit hits the fan, let's push forward with this initiative. And these labels were to be implemented on everything. They even went back and re-rated some old stuff, too. Night Trap and the not yet brought up, well, wait. We did bring this up, Lethal Enforcers. Thank you, Austin. They both received MA-17s, while the soon-to-be Catalyst Mortal Kombat, as I said before, strangely got an MA-13.
I was going to ask you, because you said that earlier, and, it took a minute in my brain to register, but I didn't want to, cut into another conversation.
That's all right.
Mortal Kombat was for 13-year-olds?
Yeah.
And Night Trap was for 17-year-olds.
You've seen the bathroom scene.
I think it was more, even though Mortal Kombat used photographs of people, Night Trap was full FMV, and Lethal Enforcers was I guess because it was a rail shooter.
I think it's specifically because you physically held a gun and pointed it.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you could shoot innocent people even though it would just fail you. You weren't incentivized to do it. But yeah, so that Abacab cheat code named after isn't it the Genesis album? Because it was on the Sega Genesis.
I think so.
I think that's why they did that. As we said, the SNES version lacked that entirely. So all the blood, guts, and fatalities were famously still there in the code for the Genesis one, not the SNES.
That's because nothing violent, including Night Trap, will
edition.
ever be on a Nintendo console.
Ever.
And they keep saying that you're gonna have to clip that.
I know. I am gonna play that.
Okay.
So, and that wasn't all that Nintendo was lacking either. Not just those.
Yeah, they were lacking
spine.
fun. Am I right?
I was going to make a joke. Doom was on a Nintendo console, the new
That
one,
red
the
card?
2016 one.
Yeah.
And that made me violent, but not because of the violent content of the game, but because the Switch
Well,
has a
Doom's
terrible
not
fucking
violent.
controller.
What?
Dude.
That thing works perfectly.
Doom's
I've
on
only
the
had
SNES.
Yeah, Doom is on top
Yeah.
of that. They also have that
Also Doom 64.
that ripoff
Doom 64.
game. What is it? Bible Blast 3D.
Oh, the
It's Wolfenstein 3D.
I thought it was like Super Noah's Ark 3D.
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Super Noah's Ark 3D, where
I
it's,
think there's a Simpsons joke that was stuck in the back of your head.
yeah, and it was
The
literally
Bible Blaster.
it was Noah's Ark. It was like because I've played
Yeah,
Wolfenstein 3D.
you put animals to sleep with a slingshot, right?
Slingshot,
That's
yes, but the slingshot is not to knock them out; it's to shoot food in their mouths, and that makes them tired, and they go to sleep. I'm not even
Yeah.
joking; that's the actual thing. I wonder how much that costs these days. I gotta look for that. That seems like a
Too
relic.
much.
Can
And
you?
then-
By the way, can you imagine if you could change what your game was rated just by hiding things intentionally and being like, it's because that fucking Wu-Tang game does that as well, and that came out in 99 or 2000. That has a cheat to get to bring all the violence
Yeah.
back out of it. Fucking weird. And the Star Wars Force Unleashed 2 has the gore engine from Soldier of Fortune in it,
Mm-hmm.
and if you put in the cheat, you can use the lightsaber to actually cut off stormtroopers.
I didn't know that.
limbs. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Wow, what do you know, Matt?
I know a lot about Night Trap.
Also,
This is a Night Trap podcast.
It is. I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep getting
What-
distracted.
while we're talking about Doom clones, Jack's Quest is the best one.
Jack's
And in that
just
game,
got
you
re-released.
just teleport all the enemies to a different area.
Is that what they
Oh,
tell
that's
you?
so kind.
It's like that Monster Factory where they play Saints Row, but
Yeah,
but in reality,
yeah.
it's
What they
all
don't tell
teleport
you
guns.
in the instruction booklet, it says you teleport them to the center of the sun. They're all dead.
Yeah, they're made out of spoiled breakfast milk, I think. Anyway,
What a game.
Chex Quest rules.
Does it?
Yeah.
So now, while Sega was out there trying to do the responsible thing, the Big N was up to something else, preparing for a battle that their competitor didn't even know they were about to fight. See, internally, the reasoning around their offices, well, we have full control over the manufacturing cartridges. We just won't ever publish anything problematic. Like, boom, all family friendly all the time, no problems. I'm paraphrasing
No
a bit, but
problem.
that's pretty much what it was. They also refused to use Sega's ratings because, of course, they would. They're corporate rivals. But yeah, Nintendo was years into not being thrilled about losing a fair share of its stake in the industry to these these Alex Kidd motherfuckers. They were prepared to do whatever they could to stay on top, even if it meant risking the absolute fate of the entire art form.
I appreciate that you corrected yourself to the correct Sega mascot. I appreciate that. I'm going to leave that in.
Yeah, anytime. A medium that only existed really for about a decade and a half, and they were protective of that. Because I will give them credit that their company and the NES did pull the overall market and culture out of the depths following the great gaming crash of '83. That part is true. What else was true was that there was no trade group to speak of to oversee these types of issues to representatives from government. People who know dick fuck about video games and somehow even less about how to not make themselves look foolish. Because we're about to get into the hearings. And don't worry, I'm gonna keep it much briefer than before. If you do want entire episodes on that, they are there for you to check out. Meanwhile, Night Trap and the Sega CD are still just out there doing their thing and not selling gangbusters.
It's very hard to find
For
these
now.
days.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Which brings us to December 9th, 1993. A room full of idiots known as the United States Senate Committee holding a hearing on the subject of video game violence. It was led by Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman, as Wisconsin Senator Herb Kohl, and yeah, Hillary was involved as well.
Yeah, she was.
And it made pretty significant headlines in the news. We're talking front page of USA Today, the New York Times, the Washington Post. And it made sense. Mortal Kombat was on its way to sell nearly 3 million copies and make over $100 million in profit before the end of the year. Plus that and how Joe even heard about any of this shit to begin with. Remember his one employee under him, like 9-year-old, wanted the game for Christmas, and then after seeing what it looked like, showed it to him, which kicked off this fucking series of clowns hyping up each other.
And it's just like, yeah, Mortal Kombat about to make 100 million sales, and then this other pissant game called Night Trap was just kind of thrown in. It's just like,
Under the bus.
yeah, it just blows my mind that it's just like, okay, Mortal Kombat, it's like that is a very famous landmark game, and then it's like, and then what game? What Night Trap? Who's ever heard of this stuff? Who's ever heard of this stuff?
Wasn't Tipper Gore one of the people involved in the
Music.
record?
Tipper Gore was the spearhead campaign.
Man.
A few years was running that a few years. This was mid 80s, I believe, or it might have been 83, 84, and that's where the parental advisory
sticker.
That's
for
what the
CD.
song
from.
Mother is about, right?
Mother. Is that
Yeah.
actually what that is about?
Yeah,
Yep.
tell your children not to
The
look
dance
Hear
like-
my words,
Yeah.
look my way. Yeah.
Oh my god!
It's about Tipper Gore.
I can't believe I never listened to those lyrics
wow,
more
you're the
thoroughly.
music guy.
Oh my God.
I'm a Misfits. I'm more of the fan of the Misfits
Really,
stuff rather than
Yeah,
the solo
and the
dancing
Misfits.
era.
Totally okay with parents. Hey, just go listen to the song. What's that one song?
All of them. You mean Last Caress?
Last Caress. Listen to Last Caress. Not a bad lyric in there.
Randy, I love your impression of the song Mother. The way that
Mother. I mean, that's what everyone knows. Is that?
oh God, I remember that
sound.
song.
That was a decent Danzig impression.
You know what he's good at though? Making movies.
Danzig.
Oh no, we are not getting
After
into.
you listen to Last Caress, check out Veronica. But no, I was gonna say,
Don't ever.
man, the Clinton administration, in total, really made being a kid and having fun hard, didn't they?
Tell me, but yeah, they hated the oh no, that was Bush Senior, I guess, who attacked the Simpsons, right? And then
Yes.
and might have been the Clinton era was when they started going after Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy.
And video games.
Oh, well, and video
And
games.
video
Yeah.
games,
Yeah, it's just, as we're Overblown Panic here was at an all-time high.
Wow, man.
And
Yeah.
not just with games, as we said, but cartoons, rap music, and Satan.
The early
Damn,
90s,
that's
That's
Satan.
my 3 favorite things, dude.
All the fun 90s counterculture we know and love.
yeah, the early 90s.
talking
What
about
a time to be
scrutiny.
alive.
Talked about all my favorite things: Danzig, demons.
If you think about it, though, thank God they went after, Satan, because we'd all be Satanists right now.
That's true.
If it wasn't for, Hillary Clinton. Thank you.
That's a good point. How many Satanists do you all know? Okay.
How
in
many
person?
times have you been sacrificed?
I know a few Satanists,
Actually, yeah.
mine
and I haven't been sacrificed yet. But fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's always time.
You volunteer as tribute.
Turns out they're actually being a Satanist isn't, bad.
No, it turns out they don't actually sacrifice people, and that's exactly what we're talking
Just-
about. The satanic panic.
Just babies.
Mm-mm.
Wasn't there
Just conservatives.
weren't they pretty poorly represented in American
Everything.
Horror Story or something?
Oh, yeah.
I'll have you know that
Also, wasn't it the new Sabrina?
Oh,
Yeah.
did they do that
Didn't
too?
they do a bad job representing Satanism?
No, they used.
Oh, they used a
This-
Bahamut statue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't like that.
you know what they
Or
have.
It's like a
Baphomet.
holy.
Mhm.
Well, I guess not holy.
Unholy.
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 They it's fine. They have baby substitute now. They don't have to sacrifice any
Well, that's
babies
no
at all.
fun.
Yeah.
So with the holiday buying season right around the corner, those officials just had to do something to stop them kids that were hoping to get their dirty paws on a sweet copy of MK.
What year is this?
And I guess these other compact disc
93?
titles now.
93.
This is
right?
93, yeah.
Yeah, because if Christmas '93 got a bunch of kids got Mortal Kombat, then we wouldn't have had a Christmas '94. You know what I mean? Would have been mass hysteria.
So the funny thing is, we've kind of already joked about this quite a bit, but because parents knew about Mortal Kombat. I mean, after all, it was everywhere. Footage of that was expected to be shown at this meeting, but then, out of nowhere, here comes Night Trap.
Night Trap.
And you think those photos of people punching each other needs to be banned. Just wait till you see this shit. Now the pictures are in full motion video.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And it's not pixelated at all.
The violence, quote unquote, was realer than ever. Nobody ever saw anything like it before.
Yeah. You know what's worse than uppercutting people into spike pits? Somewhat conservative lingerie.
Also, it's true. No one had seen anyone walk around like that before.
No, I meant this was probably. I mean, when you think about who was in that room, they were probably like, this is what video games are.
This is
looks
a video
nothing,
game?
Looks nothing like the Pac-Man.
I thought this was the porn movie I watched last night.
Yeah, you could literally hear the sound of their monocles all dropping to the floor
No,
as they
it
watch
drops
it.
into a whiskey glass.
A whiskey glass. My God.
To be fair, Night Trap does kind of look like a porn of the era.
It does, yeah.
Like without the sex, just like the
Yeah, without the
production.
good
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, the production values and the acting, it's pretty much on par.
Soundtrack.
Yeah, it kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
At first glance, if you showed someone just a screenshot, it looks like a low budget porno.
Also,
Do you think one of those guys was like, oh, fuck, if this is Night Trap, what the fuck did I jerk off to last night?
also $1 million idea, porn game, but with the same traps as Night Trap.
No.
So there's
They
just,
made a sexy
there's
Gradius.
There's just people boning in every room in some of
And
the
you gotta
rooms.
flip their
You
beds.
gotta flip the cameras over and catch the vampires that are trying to kill them while they're boning. Dude, I'm gonna be rich.
Yeah, that's actually what Super
Yeah,
Seducer
that's
3 is.
Oh man,
Too hot
Fuck
for
Gabe
steam.
Newell,
Too hot for
dude.
steam.
You know what? I bet if
No,
they
he
were-
put hatred back on. Remember?
Yeah, hatred's okay
He sent
with
them
Super Seducer 3.
a personally written note.
I bet if there was internet around back in the early 90s, I guarantee you after that Senate hearing, everybody was like, oh, God, this is outrageous. Then they all go home to the computer. Where to buy night? You just hear the...
What the hell's a Sega CD?
It's like a CD. What?
Wait, if they didn't have the internet
Yeah.
back then, how did they know it was bad?
It's just Joseph Lieberman in his office rewatching the shower scene over and over. And then his wife walks in. What are you doing? Research.
Research! Research!
Yeah.
I've
Oh, you
got...
can't see my jerk off motion, huh? This
No.
is an audio
Yeah.
format.
It's not a video medium. Also, I can see it and
Thank
be
you.
glad that it's not a video medium. I'm just telling the listeners.
And this, my friends, was when any context or reasoning that was left was thrown right out of the window. by a bed spring, I guess, for an absolute mess of
It's a Night Trap
misreadings of
reference.
what this game even was. Lieberman admitted to not playing it, obviously, although he was quick to say the objective of the game was to, quote, trap and kill women. Mind you, this was
Maybe he was just really bad at Night Trap.
Can we get a night trap from
To
that?
be fair, we don't know what gender the augurs are.
you know?
It's true.
Yeah,
So
that's
maybe it could potentially be a game where you trap and kill women, just not in the
Say
way that
this
they
right.
think.
Just not in a sexy way.
Yeah.
Mind you, this was directly after the bathroom scene was shown to the crowd without any setup at all. Of course, we now know the true goal is to...
Hold on. The failing bathroom
Yes,
cutscene.
yes, you're right.
That's
I should
the
say that.
cutscene when you fail
It is the fail
those
state.
prompts.
Yeah. You would not see that if you...
If you were good at the game.
And
It
it's
sounds
funny,
like
because that's
these
actually-
dudes are
that-
just bad at games.
That part in particular is pretty easy to avoid as opposed to some other...
Some of the other
Some of
ones.
the other
Yeah.
ones. And the other thing is too is as they explained in the documentary that we watched after the game, like you play that scene and it is
Yeah.
so hilarious. It's so
Yeah,
campy and
it's-
bad.
Yeah.
And the guy,
I will get to that, don't worry.
okay, yeah,
I
I'll
had to-
save
I
it
had
for
to put
later.
that in.
Dear
it.
1993 Senate, get good. That's all I gotta say. Mic drop.
So we know the true goal is to win is literally the exact opposite of this.
Yeah.
But needless to say, the room was still stunned. So, though nobody was probably more shocked than fucking Tom Zito, who flew out to Washington, presumably not thinking for a second that his game was going to be shown like this. Hell, or even really at all. Especially with MK1 on the chopping block here.
It's in similar, also I should say, in similar fashion to our pal Leland Yee, who tried to get Grand Theft Auto banned to later get arrested for weapons trafficking.
He didn't want people to know what he was doing. He was
Yeah,
afraid
he
that
didn't want
Grand
any
Theft Auto was informative.
Yeah, he didn't want any competitors. These are the same people that probably, most of the people in this Senate hearing, probably at one point or another hired somebody to kill a hooker or something.
Exactly.
They
don't
probably paid a lot of
want-
money to have someone trap and kill a woman.
They don't want people to know what that looks like because when people see them do it, they'll know what it is.
Right.
So you
Gotta keep
can't
this
you
stuff
can't have the
secret.
public know.
But all this bullshit will all make sense in a minute.
Will it?
Nintendo. And like just why it's here. And like these suits, they were just dogpiling on it. That it went too far, that it was sick, that it promoted violence, that it promoted rape. There were wild accusations that even allowing this thing to get produced and sold was child abuse. Fucking Hasbro
yeah.
funded it. Like,
Man, they have very, very liberal definition of what child abuse is.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
wow.
child abuse, but they could hit their kids all day, and that's fine.
And why was it being misrepresented this way? Nintendo. Sorry, scratching this in my throat.
Wait,
Yeah.
who was abusing children?
I'm assuming one of those old white men is abusing children.
There's
Oh.
at least one.
At least one.
And the other thing is, did somebody explain to them that the actresses are not children in this game?
No, there
they're
is
not-
one kid.
No,
There's
I
the
think
boy.
I think they were saying that
Yeah, and
kids
he kicks
it-
ass,
it's
dude.
inflicting child abuse to
on children.
yeah,
And that's the company's fault and not the parents who let them play it,
of course.
obviously.
Yeah.
Parents are too dumb to parent their kids. Government's got to step in and do it for them.
And even more maddening than that was the total silencing of even of like allowing anyone on the other side to speak.
Yeah.
At one point in the meeting, Senator Byron Doran from North Dakota said, "It's a shame Mr. Zito couldn't be here today to defend this horrible filth." Of course, him sitting right there, he raises his hand up immediately to make his presence known and says, "Actually, I am here and I would be happy to talk about Night Trap with everyone."
Night Trap.
They told him he was out of order and had to be quiet or he'd be removed.
Be removed. Yeah.
By the way, side note, if anybody wants to know what Trial of the Chicago 7 is, it's that scene over and over again for an entire movie. Just people going, actually, I would love to set the record straight, and the judge just going, shut up and sit down, you're out of order.
Judges suck.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also after they profusely thanked him earlier for coming, despite later apologizing that they simply didn't have time to hear out his testimony.
Wait, so he came? He said he came in the documentary, but I don't know if you have anything. Did he come of his own accord? Did Sega want him to come, or did the Senate want him to come?
I think it was implied that Sega contacted him.
Okay,
They're just like, we want other representatives from our company
in case
who
you have to speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then like once, Night Trap was suddenly on the screen there, and he was like,
Actually, I am here.
yeah.
Yeah, in case someone talks shit behind your back and then you go, hey, I'm right here. And they go, hey, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So he probably didn't even have anything like fully prepared, but he was ready to totally like
Explain the plot.
He's
He
to
didn't-
explain anything. Like
He didn't bring his 5,000-page script binder with him.
No, that was the other guy.
that's
that
the
was,
other guy,
yeah,
okay.
That was James Riley.
Right.
Who in that room do you think was more stunned? Like these senators who were just like, wow, this is filth, or Tom Zito who was just like, how did this happen? Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine just showing up to like really a room
Yeah.
full of senators who are like disgusted by your game, and you're just like, I made this the most sanitized thing possible.
Yes, yeah.
I don't understand.
It's like, can you imagine? It's almost like I think more or less there were probably other folks from various companies who were kind of all just partied up together to like, and you see the thing that you made, like you're like, oh, like I didn't know that this was like I was basically walking into the line of fire. Like it was probably more he thought he was there to like show support and defend not just Sega but the industry. Like it was like that's why the stuff I'm about to cover with Nintendo was just like Sega was like, hey dipshits, we're on the same fucking team.
Yeah,
Like-
it's the opposite of like Ed Boon, where they're like, dude,
Yeah.
you're in a Senate hearing. He's like, yeah, it makes sense.
I wonder if he went. Did he like?
I don't know. Him or what's his name? Tobias?
Yeah, because whenever they're like when anybody interviews them about that era, they're just like, like they're just like I don't think
Yeah,
they
by
gave
the
a
way-
shit at the time.
I make the joke, but for those that don't know, Ed Boon created Mortal Kombat
Yes.
with a partner, and also
And they're all and
is
he's the man.
the man. That
Yeah.
dude rules.
He fucking kicks ass.
He's like the sweetest guy ever.
I
too.
know, and it's so funny that he's like the face of this like
Of evil.
You see an interview with him, and he's like, "Yeah, so we thought like that like the ripping the spine out this time wasn't enough, so we had them punch them and also break their ribs." And he's just like smiling the whole time.
Yeah. It's just like showing up to like, it's just like the 2 minutes hate, and it's just like you just see a huge portrait of them up, and he's just giving this like cheeky little smile, like, hey, everybody.
Well, and it's funny because Night Trap is like this too, where that game is also has this reputation of being the most nefarious thing on the planet, and all the people that made it are like really sweet and soft spoken, and just friendly and optimistic, and you're like, what? Like, I bet.
Yeah, the documentary we watched, they laughed about it.
Yeah, I mean, they
They
can
were like-
definitely laugh about it now.
They were like, we sterilized the game and they still took us to court.
but it's just like
Oh, yeah,
I
that-
bet that none of these parents or politicians, or I guess they also had people representing the advocacy groups. Like they probably thought that the people behind these games were like,
Yeah, monsters.
Yeah, a lot of Christian groups probably.
oh
Which
no,
also-
definitely Christian groups.
They think Mortal Kombat is violent. They should read the fucking Bible. They should read the Old Testament because that bitch is violent.
If
I
you're
want-
if you're into
A
torture porn,
lot of people die in the Bible.
I want
This
a
pre-flood?
Senate hearing about violent video games, but I want the people on like pro video game side to just be Twitch chat. Can you imagine? Just like every time this guy's like, this is what happens in this game, a bunch of people are just like, you suck at this game, LOL, noob.
well, I liked the two
Yeah.
the
Get good.
Get good.
in the one
wrecked.
in the
a
one
bunch
doc
of PogChamp emojis. and shit.
in the one doc, there's two kids that are just like sarcastically commentating on the
Yeah.
same footage that the Senate watched, and they're just like they
My
say that
morals.
there's sex in the game, and then the one person bumps into the other person, and they're like, "Oh, did you see their shoulders just touch there? It's gratuitous." Back to it though. So, yeah, what's the deal with this game even being here in the first place anyway? Who is using campy vampire schlock as a political hand grenade in a pathetic effort to take the heat off of themselves? Where did the clip come from for everyone to see? And what was the point? There certainly wasn't any sex or sexual violence featured in it whatsoever, and it seems as if the larger factor, that was basically the... we talk about the violence, which, as we've stated, was so homogenized, but, it's weird that there was a rhetoric also about sex, surrounding this, because that kept coming up in the conversation constantly.
Look, just because a bunch of old men jerked off to it doesn't make it sex.
You can jerk off to anything. You try hard enough.
Also, if you're into blood popsicles, like I am,
like I am,
one of my things.
It's a good scene.
Yo, what a band name. Did I say that last week?
Blood popsicles?
Blood popsicles.
That is a good band name.
They're not even popsicles. It's just in a bag.
Yeah.
It's just blood block.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was like a sandwich size.
Yeah, it was just a sandwich bag full of blood, but they were like popsicle. I was like, I don't think you've seen a popsicle before. Okay.
And the thing is, it's like they didn't even use, it wasn't even like an actual cherry popsicle. She just bit into like an actual fake blood bag, just a prop.
You didn't do that as a kid? When you go over to your friend's house and you just find a mystery liquid that's frozen in a sandwich bag, and you just go, oh shit, dude, and you open it and take a bite.
Yeah,
and also just a big chomp out of the corner, and not
that's my dad's insulin.
This couldn't be the Mario guys, right? Why would they? Us video game developers are, they got to stick together. At least that's what Sega rightfully thought. But no, Nintendo was quick to turn this government officials versus the gaming industry into a personal console war instead. To them, Sega was the enemy. Not those who didn't understand the medium and who are also, threatening both companies that if they're going to, that they're going to intervene with their own regulations if they don't find the proper way to do it themselves.
To be fair, Sega was asking for it because they did run that campaign that said Sega will do what Nintendo.
Honestly, so you joke, but it was I think they had a chip on their shoulder about that fucking shit here. It's pretty funny. And, all these developers standing by, but that was their strategy, by the way. And it wasn't really too difficult for Nintendo to pull off either. They already had the best reputation for quality as well as their family-friendly image. Just forget about Bionic Commando and Super Castlevania 4 and stuff like that. Yeah. But no, Sega was the smutty one. They had Splatterhouse and Techno Cop and the better, bloodier version of the exact same game that that Nintendo let through the guidelines because it was profitable for them. That's why it makes sense that something like Night Trap would be chosen. If they were just going to stick to the narrative being solely about Mortal Kombat, Nintendo would still look like they would
look like hypocrites.
Responsible.
Because was MK out on the SNES at that point. Yeah. So they don't got a leg to stand on that in that area. But no, Night Trap, that's Sega exclusive, isn't it?
That's
produced by Sega.
Yeah.
Night Trap will never be on a Nintendo console.
Of course, they've got SCAT, the Sega Control and Action Team.
So as Chelsea said, if you want to say it one more time, what would the Big N never ever do, Chelsea?
I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system. Obviously, it would not pass our guidelines.
Yep. Sounds just like me.
Thank you, Chelsea, and slash Vice President Howard Lincoln.
Let me clear my throat. Sorry, that was my Howard Lincoln voice.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't said already, Howard Lincoln was the senior Vice President of Nintendo of America at this time.
Yes. Learn more about him in the ESRB 3-fighter.
Yes, yeah.
He's a big player in that.
According to them, MK was fine, mostly because of the censorship. But Night Trap was primed to be the perfect scapegoat for them to toss into the Wolves' Den. Because They had nothing to do with it. Except, remember when it almost appeared on the Super NES's Sony CD attachment in the last episode that we...
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Matt, what console was the copy of Night Trap you bought Randall for?
Gosh, it just...
It couldn't be Switch, could it?
I think it might have been.
No,
It was-
that had to be like a bootleg or
But,
something.
but Howard Lincoln, he said
He said
never.
never ever.
never, and then Reggie came in and was like, "Fuck you!
Yeah.
I want money."
I'd like to think that Reggie was solely Reggie, you got me doing it. That Reggie Fils-Aimé was solely responsible for
Reggie would just look at this and be like, yo, this game fucks. Put it on a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
I'm just
called up
picturing-
limited run.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing like Howard Lincoln like in a room one day, and he's just like, "Oh, Nintendo won't what,
Yeah.
bitch? Oh, I'll tell you. I bet you didn't expect us to rat you out."
Yeah. Mr. Lincoln, if you're listening, get him.
Dude, Reggie just got him tied up in a chair. He's just like, guess what? You said it never happened. We ain't listening to you anymore, Mr. Lincoln. Now I'm in charge.
So yeah, remember, it's funny. Like things could have been entirely differently if they went through with that the PlayStation. Then Night Trap would have lived there.
Play
But
Space Station.
sorry, the Play Space Station.
Yeah, the PlayStation did come out, idiot.
But because that fell through and they didn't have the technology to host an FMV project like that anymore, now it was suddenly a moral standard issue. Weird.
Now it kind of feels more like when two little kids are riding bikes, but someone's bike is better, so they go faster, and then the little kid like cries to their parents, and he's like, "This bike's faster, and I can't keep up. I want a good bike too."
Also, if Hasbro hadn't wussed out,
Yeah.
none of this would have happened either. Because they wouldn't have come after Hasbro for having Night Trap on that weird.
Yeah, way
right.
to go,
testing.
Hasbro.
Yeah.
I'd be able to buy video games with titties in them at the age of 12 if it weren't for
Yeah,
you.
it's like I don't know how well that control vision would have done, but it probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have made its way here.
Imagine an alternate reality that because of these Senate hearings, the control vision succeeded from the boosted sales of the scandal, and Hasbro was the fourth big player in the console race these days.
Yeah, we're all playing our
Yeah,
the
but they
Control
never-
Vision 5.
They
with-
never changed the controller. It always
It's still that remote.
It's still the remote.
Wait, who's coming to the Senate hearing? Nintendo, Sega, and Hasbro. the Mr. Potato Head guys? Okay.
Have you ever seen that potato though? Pretty sexually suggestive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That potato.
Now it's PC.
Its butt opens.
Yeah.
The butt
Yeah,
does
it does.
The butt opens.
That potato
Where else are you gonna store the shoes?
promotes violence against women.
where I
Fun,
Okay.
fun fact for the kids out there: if you get a potato head toy, you can open the butt flap and fill it with coins, and then throw it at your friends. I'm not saying that from experience or anything,
Oh my
but
I thought you were gonna say fill it with Play-Doh.
you can do that too. That'd probably be pretty hefty.
Oh my God! What kind of
You
friends
don't have
did
to
you hang
throw
out
it at
with?
someone afterwards.
Dude, those things
I had
were
friends
rock
that I played
hard.
hockey with. Okay,
Yeah.
somebody may or may not have hit me in the head with a hockey ball.
And
I
you just
may-
had a potato head full of coins.
No, it was later. The revenge came later when they came over to my house, and I filled the potato head with coins and threw it at them.
I'm picturing
I
you
mean,
with like a
somebody else
cork
did.
board or like a chalkboard. You have all these
Catching
different
all you
things
guys'
written.
crimes.
Like, what can I fill this potato head with?
Mhm.
I got I got 130 pennies I could throw in this motherfucker.
Mhm.
I'm just the potato head guys. Just imagining who throws a shoe.
So Nintendo wanted the fuck out of this scandal, and they were willing to do it by any means possible. There was also one other factor here that I love, much in part to the like, how have they not made a movie out of this yet energy of it? But so now Howie Link, we already just brought up, was their representative. Him being probably most famous for the tough as nail, like he was the tough as nails lawyer who fought over the use of Donkey Kong years prior. Which, Matt, I think you might have. Don't you have the Donkey Kong for the Atari?
I do have the Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of really bad Atari games.
Okay, but Howard Lincoln was basically like he's the reason that Donkey Kong is a Nintendo character, like exclusively.
Oh, so we have him to thank for at least the Donkey Kong countries,
That's
which
true.
I also got chilling up there.
We have
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Hey, those are good.
Speaking of child abuse,
Oh my God, where's all the love for the DKC
have you
games?
played a Donkey Kong Country game?
Yeah, I'm.
They're
currently
torture, dude.
They are in a different
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the original. Like, if you 100% of this, you were the Zen master of games. They were
Yeah.
hard.
The people,
No, you
the
were just
developers.
lonely.
Yeah, also that.
The developers
Those two titles
behind
go hand in hand.
Tropical Freeze fucking hate kids. There's no other.
Who
Oh, yeah.
doesn't?
Well,
I mean,
you're
no,
right.
that's not true. Nintendo loves kids.
Yeah.
That's why Night Trap will never come to a Nintendo console.
Nintendo hates everybody equally.
Yeah.
All right,
true.
so but the reason I said the movie thing was because like who was it that he was attacking exactly and why so hard? On the other side of Mr. Lincoln was Sega's vice president of marketing and communications, Bill White.
He must have been sweating bullets at this point because he knew he had no out.
Well, and you know what? Another reason why I was probably so nervous, he happened to be an ex-Nintendo employee.
Oh. Why was he so
So
nervous?
it turns out
So
that
it was also-
Howard Lincoln is just a backstabbing rat.
Well, there was just another level of pettiness here. You
A
know,
petty
like-
backstabbing rat.
And Bill White, like, he was young and didn't come off as, I don't want to say professional, but as, like, traveled, I guess. Do you know what I mean? As Lincoln. Lincoln was,
I mean, yeah.
you know.
Abraham?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
He freed the slaves in the video games.
Let me guess. The Sega guy was actually wearing his Night Trap T-shirt. He actually thought this was like he thought he was there to promote it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the T-shirt was just a picture of the shower scene.
Of course, he thought
Nah, he just wore trash bags taped on him. Dressed
So-
up like an augur.
So, how did Bill White respond to this? He made outrageous claims, like the average age of people who played video games were getting older, and the format still needed room to grow, and that it should appeal to individuals of different age groups and backgrounds, and that it wasn't up to fucking Nintendo to be the sole perception to the public of what games are.
Get him
What a
out of
son of a
there.
bitch, am I right?
he's out of order. Get him out of there. Why was he even invited to that hearing?
And we could get deeper into the studies that the studies of whether or not games were violent media was damaging to children, but I don't want to do all that again.
It's a whole other discussion.
Yeah,
I don't know. Austin played violent video games, and then he filled a Mr. Potato Head up with coins and threw it at someone.
Case closed.
Actually, at that point, I would have been playing mostly NHL games and
Violent.
and
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Violent.
Hockey's a blood sport, man.
Hell yeah, it is. Not anymore. They stopped them from fighting so much.
Oh, what a lame sport.
Yeah,
What's the point?
it used to be cool.
Now it's just
Yeah.
polo.
You used to be cool, man. This is why I only watch rugby.
What a bummer.
Dude,
Yeah, you
hockey-
get fucked up.
Hockey on horses would rule. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you. I'm glad.
So I will say, Bill White, he did fire back in some shitty ways too. You know, you have to fight fire with fire, get your hands a little dirty. He used like
You have to fight fire flower with fire. Full video game joke.
Oh.
for y'all.
That's a real knee slapper.
But he did use some adult oriented SNES games as examples, and he did he brought out the Super Scope, to counter them
The
using
light
the
gun.
the blue.
I mean, yeah, Nintendo
Lethal
deserves
The blue
Enforcement.
that.
Glock.
They totally did.
Oh,
They were
yeah,
asking for it.
come on.
And which is funny. I don't think the Zapper was here.
Yeah, I was
which
gonna say Nintendo.
looks more like a gun
Looks
than
more like a
Nintendo's
gun.
first console came with a gun.
it did.
Wait,
Yeah.
What's worse? Something that just looks like a pistol or something that looks like
bazooka,
a bazooka?
yeah. The Super Scope is for shooting down police helicopters. It's
Yeah.
but it's like, you know, as we said, there is some hypocrisy there, but he was right to point out that Nintendo, they lacked any age rating scale at all.
No,
Like,
Nintendo deserved it.
They did.
The only way to fight someone who's being petty, and this is life advice, is to be more petty. Don't ignore it. You gotta be more petty.
But it's like he tried to start, with like he tried to use reason for the most part, but he wasn't wrong. Like at least Sega could say we have a system in place for this, to alert parents on the box of what their kids might be getting.
Mature adult 13-year-olds.
Yeah, and Nintendo didn't have that. What if they accidentally played
Yoshi's Safari with that.
I was gonna say like Zombies Ate My Neighbors or Earthbound or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of the Final Fantasy games have an edge to it. Where half of them I feel like you like are grounded in like fighting God or something.
There's a lot of God talk in those games.
Yeah,
That's true.
An apocalypse scenario.
Yeah, what about Populous? That's blasphemous. You are God. That was published on Nintendo.
It's true, and Sega, but you could choose to be a beneficial or
Beneficial God or evil one. Yeah,
so
true.
what's any kid gonna do? So they went back and forth for a while. It was a shit show. Plastic guns were waved around, and that somehow wasn't even the craziest thing you would see there that afternoon. Some of the worst of it, I'm just going to quickly scan over since it was already covered, much more in detail before. The same old song and dance that I'm sure our listeners have heard time and time again about the correlation between video games and real-world violence, which there obviously has yet to be any reputable evidence given to this day to connect the two. We all know that.
I just gave some.
Sorry, now we have Mark on the board.
Yeah, we got 1 point of data.
I think you proved that hockey turns people violent. 'Cause that story involved hockey, and I was playing a lot of NHL 94.
Yeah, specifically horse hockey. Imagine the amount of blood in that.
Horse hockey is another good band name.
So, but hey, who needs data? Especially when you have questionable information being dished out from advocacy and parental groups who, again, don't know jack about what they're spouting off.
Don't know jack about shit.
And don't know
There you
jack about shit.
Spoken like a true American. Who needs data?
Who needs data?
Yeah.
No, that's what they're saying. So, and even some of the facts from doctors weren't necessarily grounded in any concrete study, which showed every instance of one of their talking points, like...
Are these doctors like the way Dr. Phil is a doctor?
Yeah.
You're probably not that far off, honestly.
Yeah, they have doctorates in art history.
Yeah, like
we put a lab coat on this homeless man and paid him $5 to say anything we want. He's a doctor.
like Alex Jones's professional nutritionist who is actually a masseuse or something.
But like every time that one of these things would come up, and an industry rep would challenge it, but be like, essentially pushed aside.
I don't want to listen to the people who know what they're talking about. I want to listen to the lunatic.
And so it's like, well, yeah.
Spoken like a true American.
But it's, they were prepared to speak about all of these issues and shoot a lot of their fears down, but...
With guns.
I think you mean the Super Scope.
Regardless, though, we're just going to stick with Night Trap's story for this episode, and how it was weaponized here in court, with Nintendo's Howard Lincoln really being at the tip of it, with him even going as far as saying that it, quote, had no place in society, and that Sega's rating system was nothing more than a smokescreen to allow more horrific shit like it on their platform.
Did he say shit?
He didn't say shit.
Oh, I thought he was cool for a split second.
He did say no place in society. But yeah, the whole thing, it was extremely, I don't know, it's a mess to watch. It is all archived. It's kind of like up there in its entirety, I think, for you to see.
Yep.
And
C-SPAN, baby.
yeah.
We should send this podcast to Howard Lincoln now and just be like, no part in society. We just came up with two episodes worth of content.
Yeah, Howard Lincoln, you're a rat bastard.
Yeah. And you know what else though? Like going back, he was thanked by the officials there for like his cooperation, like
For his civic duty.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
All fucking Nintendo did was try and show themselves as being the lesser of evils. That was it. Like,
Wow.
Hey, snitches get stitches, Howard Lincoln.
Yeah. Oh my God.
they brought them the blue Lethal Enforcer's light gun. They brought them the tape of the Mortal Kombat commercial that featured kids running around excited for the game. And worst of all, for our fun-loving crew at Digital Pictures, they brought them the Night Trap shower footage.
Hey, Howard Lincoln, you're bad at games.
Wow. Oh my God. I think this is like the definition of what you might call a bootlicker. Like straight up. I've heard that.
This is the 1993 version of a bootlicker.
I do think before we like kind of dog on him even more that Howard Lincoln has. I don't know if he's ever kind of rescinded his opinions from back then, but I think his later career was not. He did not play to these kind of tactics anymore.
No, he was at one point the CEO of the Seattle Mariners.
Yes,
And then
which Nintendo owned a stake in.
and then he was
Oddly
later like a head higher up in the Boy Scouts of America.
Whoa. That's
So.
that's an interesting place for a career to turn after all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he brought a bunch of Girl Scout cookies to the Supreme Court, and he was like, "Look how much sugar is in these cookies."
Oh my God, he is the corporate version of a tattletale. He went into that court being like, "I'm gonna save Nintendo's skin," and effectively was like, "How much can we throw Sega under the bus
Yeah.
for this
Also,
controversy?"
They were pissed about how well the Genesis was doing.
I don't want to. If Randy already said this, I apologize, but
Oh, it's all
he
right.
was a lawyer
Yes.
before he was CEO of Nintendo of America.
It's all starting to add up.
Yep, I was gonna say
Yeah.
there's your tattletale part.
Oh man.
So the thing with the Night Trap
Night Trap.
VHS that this wasn't found out until after when Gillian Newson, senior associate of the this is New Media Magazine and no stranger to games herself, received a call from the New York Times regarding what happened that day in the hearing. Her first reaction was to confusingly and jokingly respond, "Have you seen Night Trap?" Remember, this shit was being aired live, as Austin said. This was on C-SPAN in its entirety, and it likely was the first ever occasion that most people, even outside of this room, became aware of Night Trap or FMV gaming in general, or even the Sega CD, probably. Like maybe they saw live actors in a random arcade game or two, but not like this. But this fiasco even spread overseas. According to Sega's then Director of European Development, questions regarding its content were even raised up in UK Parliament about its suitability. PEGI didn't exist yet either, so they soon could have been in a similar position as well. But yeah, anyway, when Newson began to collect information for her piece of television news coverage of the story, Nintendo jumped at the offer to send her their edit too, the same one used right over in Washington. Unfortunately, not every outlet was as educated on the subject as her, though it didn't take long for other TV reports to mislead the public into believing that the primary mission of the game was to, quote, kill and rape sexy co-eds.
Wow.
I mean, the sexy co-eds part is right. Am I right?
yeah.
Yes.
That's incredible because I mean, I don't know how, like, if you go into this later on, because, like, going all the way back to when, in the previous episode, talk about the reputation,
Yeah.
I really bought the game and went into this kind of expecting that to be what the game was. Like, that reputation has endured and lived on. Like, I never
even today that continues to be the narrative to a lot of people.
What does the Supreme Court think rape is?
Oh, we don't want to get into
That's
that.
a touchy issue. Yeah.
We don't want to get into that.
I'm afraid we do not have time for
They
that.
are woefully ill-informed on a lot of women's issues, let's just say.
So it's just it's a shame because it's just like this game really. I'm just gonna like state my piece for this game. Okay,
Yeah.
it needs to be re-examined. I think it's underappreciated for
Oh,
what
yeah.
it was because
Yeah.
having played it with you guys, it's actually incredibly wholesome, to be honest.
It's
with
a
you.
fucking gem.
Yeah.
but I meant like I know what you're saying is like there's kind of a bit of this like cutesy optimism to it.
Yeah, and
it's like you have Kelly just being like, yeah,
Yeah.
throwing her thumbs
If
up.
you
Did it
catch
control-
one, she's like, yeah.
Lieutenant Control, and then there's like they had this campy little music video they did for it, and then you watch the
playing
behind the
tennis
scenes.
guitars.
They seem like they're all having a really good time.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you mentioned, but that very scene, the bathroom scene, Tom Zito specifically said it was so funny to record it that you could hear people on set laughing.
Yeah.
And it really is a hilarious.
Yeah, nobody thought that they were gonna make something that would have A, been here, and B, that like anyone on the street was going to label as being like criminal, like like
What did the woman who played that actress say? She was like, "What are you talking about? I thought I looked cute."
yeah, that was the woman from that
lines.
scene. We will get
the
into
woman
that.
who starred in it even said like, "Whoa, I looked hot, didn't I?"
Well, that's the woman I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
that's it. Yes, and it's just like even the woman in that scene was like, "No, I loved being in that."
If you'll allow me to say my piece, I think it's smut.
Thank you, Howard Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
and
Howard Lincoln.
It offends me
Thank you, you rat
and my
bastard.
pastor and my mother.
So-
You bastard.
So Fulop hears this, like the killing and raping sexy co-eds fucking line. This was after he hears this after actor and producer Bob Keeshan of Captain Kangaroo fame speaks out about the game at a press conference.
A true industry expert. If
Yeah,
there ever was one.
and he was super bummed, not just as a Captain Kangaroo fan, but it's like things soon became more wearing after it got to this level of escalation. Like it was almost funny to the team at first, rightfully so, that it was like it wasn't until the jokes of them all being evil actually became serious. With Fulop saying that it even began to affect the relationships with a few of his closer friends and family, which is
Wow.
like.
They demonized him.
Yeah.
But I think it did skyrocket the sales of that game, though.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
That's like the funniest part. So meanwhile, our console manufacturers were elsewhere duking it out. I used the same statement in our ESRB series, but when Sega of America's president Tom Kalinske was interviewed after the hearing in response to Nintendo throwing them under the bus, he said, "I'm really amazed they would so irresponsibly drag retailers and the entire video game industry through the mud in their efforts to slow down our company's momentum." And he is right. Like,
Yeah.
that's what they were doing.
Yep,
and
100%.
they're on the same side.
Dirty tactic. That's capitalism for you, baby.
Of course, that's not what the viewers thought. The hysteria then only grew even higher when a week later it was announced that Sega was pulling all copies of Night Trap off the shelves of both Toys R Us and FAO Schwartz ASAP. KB Toys was another one. Other chain stores soon followed that, and they revealed a, quote, censored version would be coming in January as well for the 32X. And that one would have a blue banner on the box to notate that.
What they should have done is been like censored now with no rape and violence, and then just put out the same
exact
game.
same
Yeah.
game.
The exact same game.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is the censored version. What is there to censor in that game? There's almost no violence whatsoever.
There's like maybe a less than 5-second
Wait.
shot of the little drill gun.
I
That's
think
it.
I
Or,
think they
arm.
talked. Didn't they talk about that in the documentary?
Which
what did they?
I think they said they cut away from the drill going into her neck in
Yeah.
that one scene,
Yeah.
and they zoomed in to show like less of her body or something.
That might have been it
in the
though.
bathroom scene, and I think that was all the edits.
That's the
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
that because really the,
it was something. It was like a quick
Yeah.
a quick cut and a quick zoom or something.
Which Chelsea has said before was a fail state. So if you played the game right, you
If you were good at game,
well, you know what I mean. If you did that section correctly
You would
on
never
both,
see
you would
it.
never know that was even there.
Yeah, exactly.
And the two versions would
Get
appear
good.
to be. Yeah.
Get good, Howard Lincoln.
So Dana Plato, the actress who starred as Kelly, found out about all of this when out renting a movie with her 11-year-old son after an employee there told her that her game was being yanked off the market. Upon her asking why, the person said, well, obviously because of the controversy. She was surprised too. After all, she knew was like what was filmed and what the objective was, that it wasn't gory or violent. When Zito was eventually reached out for comment, he made the same points, telling everyone the true nature of the thing was the exact opposite of the false claims that kept getting reported on. You're supposed to protect the women, otherwise you immediately lose. He then went on to say that while the game wasn't appropriate for maybe an 8-year-old, any of the violence in it was still pretty benign and would barely constitute even a PG-13 rating by the standards of movies.
I was gonna say, I feel like I've seen like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episodes that are more violent than that video game.
They got swords.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they're called something else in the UK.
Yeah.
They're not called Ninja Turtles.
Wait, what are they called in the UK?
I forget. It's something dumb, but
Is
they're
that
not.
true?
Yeah, because ninjas are violent.
All right, Austin, you got to look this up while I'm going over the bathroom
I'm
scene one
already
last
doing
time.
it, dude.
Okay, so Matt, as Matt said, the director Riley he went more into detail with the much discussed. I think her name was
Hero Turtles, I
Lisa.
think.
Lisa, is it
Hero
Hero Turtles?
Yeah, because heroes are always violent.
But Lisa, the woman in the bathroom, she's
Yes.
like, oh,
Sorry to cut you
is
off.
it Hero
Teenage
Turtles?
Mutant Hero Turtles. Yep.
that doesn't ring.
No.
No, it doesn't fit in with the cadence of the song.
But yeah, so he told everyone that him and the crew like having a blast. They couldn't stop laughing to themselves behind the camera on set because the visual alone of that one auger trying to hide in the clearly like transparent
transparent
shower.
yeah.
That it was funny.
Especially after, like, that's the only scene in the game where you really show them display any sort of kind of intelligence.
Awareness of the- yeah.
They kind of just stumble around. And then there's just this one scene where he's like, uh-oh, better not get caught. And you just see him kind of peeking
He
out
does
of...
that while she's facing a
mirror.
giant wall-sized mirror where you can see the shower. He pops his head up and he's like,
Just a little peekaboo.
and yeah, it's a glass shower. Like,
And then this was also when God, I'm sorry, I should have wrote down her name, but the actress who played Lisa, she later described I keep doing this a lot today, but the quote unquote scandalous nightgown she was wearing was something that she thought was cute, not
no,
not
she's like,
raunchy.
I thought it looked nice.
Yeah.
And it's not raunchy at all. It's raunchy in like 1980s standards. The fact that it's silk.
Isn't there like a King of the Hill joke when they're like, oh, we're in our underwear like Hank Hill and Peggy,
Yeah, and
but
she's wearing, like, a
wearing
full
nightgown and
nightgown.
he's wearing shorts and a t-shirt, like an undershirt. Like it was, yeah. It's, but everyone involved, like with the game, they were being great sports about it. But man, like it seemed like nothing they said, like, or nothing they would use as a defense was calming people down. Like, it didn't matter how homogenized the end result was, or that the player was the good guy, or that the guns in it shot sparks. It didn't matter that the game wasn't a host for anything that could barely even constitute as sex, or that Zito wanted to make that that claw arm thing be so fantastical that no one would ever mistake it for reality or find it replicable. It didn't matter that the enemies you capture don't even die; they just fucking fall into Rube Goldberg style booby traps.
Yeah. And then apparently, they don't say what happens, but apparently they all die.
It's just spikes behind.
Yeah.
They die. That's the rape.
That's,
It's what goes on behind
Yeah,
this.
it's just off camera.
yeah. It actually just
technically-
dumbs
And it's to the augers.
They all die because they run out of blood because you killed all the vampires that were feeding them.
That's
Yeah,
true.
That's actually a good point.
They will starve to death.
And what mattered even less than all of that was that Lieberman and his staff were never going to once boot up a Sega CD to see for themselves.
No, no.
The ignorance was palpable.
Even
and-
the Senate's not stupid enough to buy a Sega CD.
Got him.
Oh,
burn.
that was good.
and once that word is out and your product is like perceived a certain way, it can be nearly impossible to ever change those minds. However, there were still two incredible things to come out of it.
One, the fact that we played it. That was a great
well,
time.
yeah, that's true. But I was gonna say first, which I know just had us dying when we were watching that video, was that Night Trap sales.
Oh yeah,
Chelsea said,
skyrocketed. Best thing for that game.
went through the roof. Because wasn't it I forget who thanked him. That might have been James Riley.
I think it was James.
Yeah,
Riley.
or no, I think it was Rob Fulop.
Oh.
Yeah, where he was just like, man, Howard, I owe all these sales to you. It's just fantastic.
Thank you, Howard Lincoln.
That's a good point. We should be thanking him.
Yeah, I guess so.
We wouldn't have played it if it wasn't for Howard
if it wasn't
Lincoln.
for him.
Yeah.
Because this was performing better than it ever was before. Selling more copies than what was than Sega ever projected. They post that hearing 50,000 copies in the 7 days that following.
Wow.
Like
Yeah, 30,000 of them were all members of Congress.
There's not that many Congress people.
They needed multiple copies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
and
one
they
for
wanted to give it
Jay
to their
Owen.
children.
Right.
and Fulop, of course, pointed out the obvious was how every 16-year-old boy was now suddenly aware of it in a way that they weren't before and wanted what they shouldn't have according to those uptight
Man.
adults.
Yeah, that was a lot of disappointed 16
Oh,
year
Thank
Yeah.
you.
olds.
I was
Yeah.
touchers. There was nothing to see there, kids. Sorry.
And yeah, that was all right. That was the part when Zeno just he really wanted to twist the knife and some beautiful revenge with thanking Howard.
Kind of the thing about Night Trap that I was gonna say is just like the actual appeal of all the actual appeals of Night Trap. I don't think would appeal to somebody under the age of 17 anyway.
You're right. No, that's 100%
It requires
true.
like an appreciation for that low budget B movie kind
Exactly.
of feel.
Yeah.
The campiness, the things,
No, to be
things that
fair-
like kids don't think is cool.
I was watching Tales from the Crypt when I was really
That's
little,
true.
and I thought that was campy and funny. Except the part where he pops out of the coffin. That always scared me. And my dad, I would run out of the room during the intro. My dad would be like, "Okay, it
The intro's
happened," and I'd walk in,
beginning
and
of Are
he'd
You
be
Afraid of the
popping up as soon as I walked in.
What a baller dad move right there.
That
What a
is a
dick.
dad move. Yeah.
Though I do feel like this game was also really tough. Would be difficult to figure out for like a young.
I was
Oh
gonna
yeah,
say,
that game's not easy.
Like I
Yeah.
get like
It took
imagine
it took a room of 4 of us, 2 who have already beaten it,
Yeah.
like an hour to
and the
figure it
internet.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, using a guide.
because you imagine, and that was the remade version. Like if kids flocked out to collect copies of these, and they're just like, oh, yo, we're gonna.
I want to
some...
see those. I want
Yeah.
to see those square
And
titties.
then it was like when I tried to play it, and it was just for like 90 seconds and then lost.
It sucks.
It does take a level of patience that,
Yeah.
That
I
a
can-
kid won't have.
will not have. I mean, like, if you're like, especially like, if you're a teenager with like, especially like, you're devoted to gaming, maybe you would give it a shot. But it's like, it really did take us. Like, we're like, no, we're gonna sit down and beat. To be fair, though, once we started it up and we got in the swing of things, it does get surprisingly addictive. You're
Yeah,
like,
it does.
no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna. This time I'm gonna get it. You really do want to beat it after a while.
I remember watching all 3 of you guys real focused, and
I sat there literally at
Yeah.
at the front of the room in front of the projector screen, like watching like the videos. Trying
Yeah,
to
that's
Yeah.
like an edge of your seat game where you're like, all right, I'm getting serious now.
Yeah,
You don't
me and-
blink.
Me and Matt were passing the controller back and forth, and at one point he's like, "No, I gotta play again."
yeah,
He's like, "I gotta play again. I gotta."
I
start over."
I gotta do it.
yeah, gotta.
But yeah, profit was suddenly boosted, which is great. And the second thing, most importantly to us all even today, was the official formation of the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, commonly referred to as the ESRB.
Peggy 18.
For sure.
Peggy 18.
No, Peggy is the
It's
European one.
Sero.
Sarah's the Japanese one.
ESRB.
There it is.
Yeah, got it.
Couldn't think of another one.
So without getting too deep in the
The
weeds,
Australian one,
Of
where
the-
they just ban everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
this game's got weed in it.
Yep.
So like, yeah, we're not gonna fully kind of go through the second and third hearings here. Just the gist of it, which there was a bill called the Video Game Rating Act of 1994 that was proposed. This was, I think, the beginning of that February, a month later. Well, a couple months after the hearing, but a month after the I guess the now toned down version of Night Trap was
Night Trap.
which I don't actually know when that Sega 32X version released or if it even made its full way out.
It did.
Did it? I feel like producing that in a month is a pretty short time frame. They might have just said that to like
and
cool
also
the fire a bit.
did this game? I can't remember if we said did it ever get ported to anything else besides the Sega
Yes,
system?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. But I just wasn't sure because I feel like a 32X wouldn't be able to handle it. I thought you would need the extra power of the CD. Like,
I have no idea.
yeah, I don't know. But so basically, this bill was implementing an ultimatum that would force Nintendo and Sega to put their fucking bullshit aside and figure this out.
Yeah.
And it worked. Tighter communication between them began, same with other devs and publishers too. Atari, EA, Acclaim, 3DO, Philips. Forces were finally joined. And after a few other attempts, and for more on that, check out those episodes I keep referencing. And a follow-up meeting being arranged that March, work was now truly getting done on the, the age restriction format. On July 31st, that summer, a conference was then held inviting all parties back to see their solution. The MPAA-like ratings labels were shown, the 5 being EC for early childhood, which would be similar to a G. KA for kids to adults was PG. T for teen was PG-13. M for mature was your R. And the seldom used AO for adults only.
Oh yeah, the death penalty of
yeah.
any
Yeah.
games.
Which was essentially the equivalent of the ill-fated NC-17.
Yeah.
KA, of course, later became E for everyone. E10 would be added down the road as well, signifying ages 10 and up.
I don't understand
EC, I believe, was retired recently.
According to IGN, which is the only source I can find, Night Trap for the 32X came out March 6, 1994.
Oh, okay. So they did make it out that season, just not in
Yeah.
January.
Yep.
Okay.
What is it?
Interesting.
Why is it E for E? What is it? E10?
E10 for everyone 10 and up.
That's just make it.
Yeah, I was not a fan of when that.
That's
yeah.
not everyone.
Well, that's later though.
Yeah, because then you could but then you could just do the same thing of like E13, everyone 13 and up, and
Yes.
E17.
Or you could do MA13, which is mature 13-year-old adults.
I mean, KA was always a stupid name for
Kids
a
to
rating too.
adults,
Like
yeah.
everyone was a better solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, everyone makes sense. Everyone 10 and up doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the seldom used O, octogenarian. They have yeah.
But
Yeah, kids to adults, you couldn't buy it if you were retired.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a solid change. Other than that, like I said, like EC was specifically for mostly educational games for young kids, and that
Yeah,
now the
Kickstart games were, I
yeah, and that stuff by and large now is just E
think.
because
Yeah.
Yeah, EC doesn't exist anymore.
yeah.
Either just K to A.
K to A got changed to E. I think in like the late 90s. That was a
Yeah.
while ago.
Yep.
And then E10 was added in, I think, 04?
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember there was conversation about Burnout 3 got like a teen rating, and so did like the Smash Brothers games and stuff because they didn't have anything in between. And then like I think Donkey Kong Jungle Beat was the first E10 rated game for some reason, like as if that was too rough for an E. I don't know.
Oh God, my 9-year-old can't see this.
Donkey Konga 2 though, that was a rated teen.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, for lyrics.
For the lyrics,
Because it had a
yeah.
bunch of like weird emo and like new metal bands in it for some reason. So they also ran through there at the time 17 content descriptors identifying the various levels of violence, sex, language, drug use, gambling, etc. found in each product, saying both these and the age rating itself would be prominently displayed on every box. That it would not only be required for selling at most retailers, but even to be released at all for all the major platforms, and that the service would be exclusively done by them and only them. It was a slam dunk move by those game companies to appease the public and the government officials in the room. Having reps there from Walmart and Toys R Us with them in agreement played a huge role too in making them look capable and professional. They were definitely taking this seriously after the threat of the alternative hung over them. The group even went so far as stating that there would be strict punishment to those businesses not willing to adhere to the guidelines. This likely led to Sony joining the organization after they jumped into the console space later that year as well. While the process itself was technically voluntary, it being non-law enforced, as that was what they were trying to avoid, it would strong-arm everyone into abiding by it. Before the digital age, being able to physically have your product on the shelves, like your shit, like there and like that was your key to success.
Yeah.
You know, like.
No one's mail ordering these video games.
Also, ESRB better than the MPAA. I'm
Absolutely,
saying it.
yeah.
MPAA sucks.
Yeah, they're pretty crooked. For the most part, like EA is actually a pretty like respectful organization. Like when we talked about the on our second episode, the San Andreas hot coffee, like the ESRB were like the most innocent party in all of that. Yeah. And hell, just to toss in one last promise as a bonus, the ESRB said they would commit to launching a promotional campaign to help consumers, and more importantly, parents, to be aware of the initiative. In it, they would detail their plans to remain profitable, as well as adding that their team will be private, although still seek grander input on certain issues. Best of all, apart from that, though, was that they would be the ones to keep in touch with publishers through the whole process and never tell developers on what they can and can't create. And everyone was in awe, including Lieberman. And so, with all sides finally appearing satisfied, the speakers were applauded, and the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, along with their practices, were approved. The doors were then soon open in order to get things rolling for the upcoming holiday season as soon as possible. And this is the 94 holiday season. Our friends at Digital Pictures were thrilled as well. No more did they have to sit in fear of what was going to happen to their works, past and future. But what about Night Trap?
Oh boy.
Night Trap.
Well, it was given an M for Mature sticker, replacing its original MA-17, which is kind of the same thing.
I'm surprised after the amount that got demonized, they didn't slap that bad boy with the AR and just
that would have been bad.
Let it drift into the darkness.
And the new boxes had to be printed. Same with the edited down 32X edition. So yeah, I guess you were right. They did make that out or get that out. Though I guess there has to be two versions of that, two versions of this. Ports were then able to hit multiple other places once the controversy had subsided, each version with their own strengths and weaknesses based on the hardware. There were Night Trap, I think it appeared on the 3DO and DOS and Mac, with the latter two being credited as director's cuts. Riley later joked about how ironic it is to see Night Trap on several lists of the most violent video game titles ever, because, like, I mean, Jesus, look at so many of the releases today.
I'm pretty sure Animal Crossing is more violent than Night Trap.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I
you
can
can
hit
clock
people
your villagers with a shovel.
No nets.
Oh, I think you could do it with a shovel.
No.
Yeah.
You could push them in holes, though.
That's rude.
They
Didn't they take that out of the new one, though?
No, you could. There's pitfalls.
Okay.
Yeah, you can receive bodily injury. You get that huge ass welt on your eye if you
Yeah.
get
You
stung
get
by
attacked
bees.
by scorpions and shit. It's
There's
terrifying.
scorpions in that game.
Yeah.
It's kind of terrifying.
That's
Yeah.
hardcore. So DP were really, well, I probably shouldn't call them that, but I was just trying to limit down some
DP.
Good old DP.
Yeah,
Boy, do I love him.
They were kind of directly responsible for the freedom of, like, stuff getting made today. Like, even like,
Yeah.
you know, like
it's a shame that it's like these people of like this game and these people are not really like given the credit they deserve.
But it's like someone had to push the boundaries first, right? Even if they didn't know they were doing it. You know, like Mortal Kombat, like that at least made sense. I mean,
that's it. And just to out of curiosity, as a question in these hearings, okay,
Yeah.
obviously we brought up Mortal Kombat and Night Trap. Were those the only two in that
It
hearing?
it was pretty much just them and Lethal Enforcers.
Lethal
And
Enforcers.
Lethal
Yeah.
Enforcers, and it's just like
Wow, haven't you even listened to that episode of Hot Button?
I don't remember.
It was a while ago. That's
Yeah.
fair. But it's
Wow,
just
get out.
it's just crazy to think that one of the key elements in something so significant was more or less a satirical parody of vampire melodramas.
It really,
You know, like
it
'cause
was.
who knew that? Who knew that was gonna be it?
It was just one of those. It was like an '80s sitcom episode. It was so.
And it's tough to say what like could have or would have happened if we just fast forwarded a year. Like if it was like Doom that was the thing, because Doom came out that season in '94. It was with Night Trap one of the first games to be rated M, and it's like, you know.
Technically, if it birthed the ESRB, it probably maybe was the first game to be rated M. Maybe besides Mortal Kombat, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing. I guess Mortal Kombat was re-rated to M probably the same day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're probably both the first two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like a lot of these examples are far, like in retrospect, we keep saying are like far less offensive than.
No, Mortal Kombat I get though.
No, I get it. The tone's still, you know,
And
in it is
obviously we've been
wacky
over
and
why
fun,
Night
but-
Trap got demonized, but
You're right, but it's just like all you have to do is jump ahead. I think a year after '94 into '95, and that's when like your Phantasmagorias and your Harvesters and stuff were coming out, and like if those were the first, video games probably would have just been banned.
I would love to play some Phantasmagoria now.
Those
Maybe some
games are
hard
hard to like.
to hunt down.
Yeah.
I believe it.
No, I was gonna say they're still brutal even by the
Yeah.
lens of
I've
now.
seen so, and that's
I think I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream came out in '96.
That
Like
was
the
also
game
a
based
brutal
off.
game.
The,
I actually have that in my GOG library.
That's
I should
cool.
boot that up. Oh heck, I would
Yeah.
love to. I would love to do an episode with you guys on I Have No Mouth. That would be a fun.
Oh yeah, we should read that and like play that game.
Harlan Ellison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The short
I was
story.
gonna say, have you read the short story?
I have not, but I would for
Because the short story is also very fucked
Yeah.
up.
yeah.
They actually
Honestly,
they changed some things around for that game that
Yeah.
was that they probably would not have been able to represent.
Yeah. That would. Oh God.
Some
You know what?
elements.
That's good brainstorming idea. I would love to cover that game with you
So
guys.
the other thing I'll say about Night Trap is the sexist rhetoric around this this incident is kind of interesting too when you think about it, because like considering the cast featured like many men and women on both sides of the story, like, you know, like your vampires, your soldiers, your like innocent parties, like it's I don't know. I just wish that that the majority of people, I guess they're more, everyone's more aware of it now, but it's that was largely ignored, I guess.
As a woman, I thought it was very sexist.
Feel empowered?
No, I don't feel empowered.
Oh.
I did feel empowered, however, watching Captain Marvel.
All right, you're one of two people.
You and Brie Larson.
You and Brie
Yeah,
Larson.
yeah, me and Brie
As
Larson.
a woman, I felt very empowered watching the 2016 Ghostbusters.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Me too. Every time a woman brings up queefing, I'm like,
Yeah.
you go,
The
girl.
queef jokes really add to the representation.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
what
women.
the phrase that Red Letter, because empty corporate feminism.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. But unfortunately, we have proven like time and we found out on endless occasions that this isn't going to be the case. That even like trying to broadcast our thoughts of this now, I still don't think a lot of, I don't know how to put it into words. People are wiser, but I think this game will still forever be cemented in what it was.
It
Yeah.
is, but there's a growing subset of people who understand what Night Trap actually is
Yeah.
now, thanks to the re-release.
Totally.
I think
it
I was
allowed
gonna
that
say-
cult following to.
Yeah, Limited Run probably did that game a huge favor,
Absolutely,
allowing
yeah.
not only does it make the game playable in terms of difficulty. Like, trust me, if you're gonna play that game, don't be like, I'm gonna do the original experience. Play the remade
Yes.
with the enhancements.
If you
it makes it playable.
getting that original like it would be a novelty. It's still a fascinating artifact to hold in your hands of gaming history. But yeah, if you actually want to play this,
Yes.
so with the dust now fully settled, we're going to jump ahead, all the way ahead to 2014, when
20 years.
Mr. James Riley began talks of a remaster. Everything improved
Remaster.
for the modern era. Then that August, a Kickstarter kicked off, which when I wrote that down. I didn't actually mean for it to be a pun, but I guess it is. It was being helmed by a studio made up of the original core team members, now cutely known as Night Trap LLC. They even
Night Trap LLC.
They even further explained in the pitch that if the funding was successful, that they would look into re-releasing other of Digital Pictures titles. However, that was whatever because they were also looking to shoot an actual factual sequel.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
actually news.
Yeah.
Whoa.
How much rape is going to be in it?
Yeah. Are they going to be actual ninjas this time? Perhaps they're not
Well-
toothless vampires.
I hate to break the news to you guys, but tragically for all of us, the Kickstarter failed, only raising a measly
Wow.
$39,843
Try again.
of its $330,000 goal, which is still pretty.
Which is good, but also
Modest.
that's impressive. How many Kickstarters get funded, and it's just like
This was kind of around the Kickstarter boom, and I guess this just didn't get a lot of
that's
traction.
impressive. There's a lot of crap that gets kickstarted on Kickstarter.
No, you're right,
Yeah.
and now, but I guess I don't know. People were too busy funding fucking Mighty Number 9 and Ukulele, and
yeah,
like,
yeah, it just
I was gonna
didn't.
say, Mighty Number 9 got like $3 million. This is bullshit.
I know.
How much money does Star Citizen have now? Really?
Oh, well, that's
like
just
500 million.
Oh my
It's
God.
insane.
And these guys couldn't even get like a little more than a quarter
I know
million.
it's such a shame, but it's,
That is cheap for a Kickstarter too, by the way. For
It
for
is.
a game.
yeah, and to want to make a sequel, like and
Yeah.
a new one in that. So it's so yeah that venture was a bust.
That's a shame.
But then out of nowhere, 2 years later, in May of 2016, a game developer named Tyler Hogle decided to make a little tech demo of Night Trap being played on smartphones, as he had experience translating some of Digital Pictures' separate works, DPs, such as Double Switch and Quarterback Attack to different platforms, which, what a great name. I maybe it's a football game, I assume.
I would
I didn't
assume
look
so.
I didn't look into it. But he revealed this through an anonymous video, causing several gaming news outlets and websites to contact Zito asking if he was part of it, and he said no. But then this prompted them both to collaborate and like finish what their crowdfunding campaign wanted to achieve. And it's like, what a great like answer to that. Like it's just like, oh, that's awesome that you did this. Like, let's team up together. Like, he wasn't like,
Shut it down.
yeah, he didn't like cease and desist him and like
I gotta say, since we haven't said it yet, Tom Zito.
all these people. They're like,
shout out to that
they're
guy
bosses.
because he seems so chill about this whole thing, and it's just like he just got taken for a ride
I
in this
know.
entire venture, and I gotta say, he seems like such a friendly guy.
yeah.
And so it's like, yeah,
And speaking of, so here's like the biggest problem though with all this was that the original film reels were lost. Thankfully, someone else had their back. Speaking of cool guys, Mr. Director James Riley had a backup copy.
That's right.
He made of the timed masters, which it's like
wow, he held on to that for God knows
Yeah.
how long.
oh, I want to get a beer with that guy.
I know.
That dude.
About like
It's
23
like
years.
yeah, and
Or
it's
no, 26 because it was like 89 when they filmed it, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep. And it's funny is the this programmer he basically when they were able to get the time masters over to him, he had to like luckily he was he was so familiar with the game, but he had to keep replaying it over and over again so the obtained footage could all be properly synced with the new code and engine. Like, because Austin, didn't you point out was this rebuilt in Unity?
yeah, it's Unity.
Yeah. And but so by the time they got it finished, and so to like commemorate its now 2.5-decade adventure, it was formally announced in April 2017 that Night Trap 25th Anniversary Edition was inbound for it was that upcoming August for the PC, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch.
Sorry, what was that last one?
Hold on, let me just check my notes real quick. It's, the Nintendo Switch.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Night
That game
Trap will never be on a Nintendo console.
is outrageous.
No Ouya?
No, yeah. So
little too late for Ouya, a little too early for Stadia, man.
there was a Vita version that did come that November.
Yes.
But yeah, the Switch thing is just sweet justice. No Xbox One or mobile port yet, oddly enough, though they've said that those are still on their way. I don't know if maybe they're having issues. But yeah, and it was funny because I actually kept that Switch version sealed for posterity's sake because I just can't, like, it's just too funny to look at, and we played through the PS4 version on a PS5.
If you're gonna play a version, you can get it downloaded. You don't have to drop
It's like
a bunch
15
of money.
bucks.
I think it's $15, and it's cool because if you are playing on the PlayStation, the code, the color code is on the front of the controller.
No, well, the color you have it set to.
Oh, right.
The
That's
controller
what
glows to
Yeah.
the color you have it set to.
So if the controller has the wrong cover, then it's your
Man, they
color,
really
then
thought
it's
of
your
everything
fault,
with that remake. They even thought, okay, we can do this on these controllers. That's a lot of thought put into it.
Yeah, and so this thing, it was self-published under Hogel's Screaming Villains label. Same with the movie cut that we all watched on YouTube. That's under that channel. Limited run, as we've said, did the physical release with a mix of special cover variants. I think there are two. The one of which Matt here generously got me for Christmas last year, as I stated.
I think it's
Before,
the cover is reversible. I think
It is, yeah, because the original might be on the inside, and then the
It
other
is.
one it's
yeah.
flipped.
I didn't realize that until after I got it, but yes,
Yeah.
they said it's a reversible cover.
This
so.
is, I think, the one on there is not just the one they did use for the 32X, but when they reprinted it with the M,
The
where
M,
it's like Dana doing this. She's like
she looks
throwing
very,
her arm behind her. I guess.
She really does look like she's just like, what the fuck is this shit?
I-
What's going on? Like,
Yeah.
why am I here?
Like,
what do you,
eh?
what do you
Yeah.
do? She looks very just irritated at
Yeah,
you. Like,
it's true, and it's a shame because that first one is the one that's hand painted. It
hand-drawn
looks like a
one.
movie, like an 80s slasher movie
it looks
poster.
like it's a great illustration.
Actually,
it's very
that
nice.
original box art is probably some of the reason the controversy, because isn't the
You're right.
It's a screaming,
screaming woman.
it's a
on
screaming
it,
woman
yeah.
in her underwear?
Oh,
You
Yeah.
can't really see it because it's cut
It's
off.
cut
but
off?
if you look up the full art
okay.
for it that they cropped for the box art, she's in her underwear.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
I didn't know they got that Friday the 13th on it.
Yeah.
And I think there's also some writing in blood, which is
Yeah,
you know,
I also
what
like
you
how
do.
it's like the augers on the cover. It looks nothing like. It
oh
looks like
yeah,
Predator.
You're telling me it doesn't look like
Yeah.
dudes in garbage.
Does
Dudes
it look
in
like a stuntman
Yeah.
in a garbage bag?
Yeah,
duct
hunched over.
taped
And
on
the thing that he's holding, like it's supposed to be the device, the blood-sucking device, but it looks like he's holding like a spiked frisbee, from what I recall. I would have to look it up, but it looks nothing like what they look like in game.
Oh, holy fuck! I actually
Let's
never
see
saw
that.
that fully.
Let me see
I
that
never
smut.
saw the cut-off artwork.
Wow.
An outfit that is not at all. In
Not
the
at all.
That
in
is
the
I'm
that
sure they
game.
commissioned
Okay, I
that through an
changed my
artist.
mind. That game is smut.
Now,
Thank you.
now it's sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's
Also,
sexy.
that woman looks like she's in her like her 40s too. It looks nothing like a teenager.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
but yeah, thanks to this man, thanks to Hogel, like he was the one who took it upon himself to just do this as a fun little passion project, and this led to us getting this, this crazy anniversary edition. Something very noticeable about Night Trap's relaunch, whatever, like this time around, is that it was submitted to the ESRB again for an updated certification. And their assessment, it was finally given the rating it probably deserved all along. A T for teen.
yeah.
One whole
an
grade.
MA13.
One whole grade lower than it had
Do you have
previously.
the descriptors written down?
No. Yeah, lay it on me.
hear
I'm
'em?
very curious.
Blood, suggestive themes, and violence.
Okay,
That's
that's
what Night
for
Trap
the. What?
That's for the 25th
I'm
anniversary.
curious what the descriptors might have been on the original,
I don't
It-
know if I can.
because I think they used to use.
It's just like what do you call it? It's like exposes children like
Murder simulator.
Satanic ritual.
child abuse.
Well, I think they used it for a lot of FMV games. They would use they would tag like it being as realistic. Remember, they had animated blood
Oh,
and animated
yeah,
blood and gore,
animated
and then
violence
realistic
and
blood
realistic,
and realistic blood and
yeah.
gore, which they dropped.
Animal
those,
Crossing
Sega,
has Oh, go ahead.
The Sega 32X version, realistic violence.
Realistic. There it is.
Yeah.
Just the
Content
one,
descriptor,
huh?
yeah.
It doesn't say
Crossing-
suggestive themes.
Or
Animal
blood.
Crossing has
blood.
comic mischief.
Ooh,
Comic
yeah.
mischief.
Rock Band has drug use because it's a cool game.
Does it really have drug use?
Yeah.
do
and
they do?
drug and alcohol use. You're in a rock band,
You're
man.
in a
What do
rock
you
band. There's a scene where
You trip out and go to the desert.
Yeah,
and-
you go on a acid trip and drink and smoke a bunch and then go to the desert.
Yeah.
Which none of it is like shown. Like they don't show you taking acid or
They
anything.
just show you after.
They show you drinking out of solo cups and smoking cigarettes, essentially.
Because you go to a rooftop party at one point, you get blitzed and start hucking chairs off of
Yeah.
it's pretty good. But that wasn't all. If you guys will allow me to nerd out for just one quick second.
That's why this podcast
No.
was created.
Even with the
It's been more than a second.
even with the game aside, this edition is an incredible fucking package. Like, seriously, I want this shit for everything now, no matter what it is. There are not one, but two different documentary videos on here that we've referenced numerous times, where I was able to get a huge portion of my research and information from, and directly, by the source. Like that's great. We're it's so hard to do that.
Yeah,
for the show.
Little just video evidence talked to you by the guys who made it. Like, you can't get any closer to the source
I think
than that.
so. One is from 1995 on the initial pushback. I think that's called Dangerous Games, and the one made the other I guess was it was 2017 on the production. I forget what that's called. I think it's like I don't know.
Have you seen the Mario 3D collection? By any chance?
Yeah, they put some music on it.
They put dates on the title.
Oh, they
screen.
did put dates.
Also, fun fact: when this is being recorded, still for sale. When it's released, not for sale anymore.
Yeah. Get your Mario while you can before they take them out back.
On March 31st, 2021, Nintendo will officially kill
Yeah,
Mario.
public execution.
Public execution.
Well, by the time this airs, he'll already be dead.
Yeah.
mark retroactively mark your calendars
I
for
might
the
just
death.
Well, we'll just pour one out for Mario at this point.
Yeah.
I might just buy it just to say, just to have it. I don't really play my Switch that much.
Go for it. My
Nah.
dumbass did.
Yeah, I bought it.
How else are you going to play Super Mario 64 in 4x3?
Do you think they'll update it with
How about
video?
a regular N64? Like, we
All
can
right.
go upstairs and do it right now. Like, I still have a copy.
Do you think?
Also the DS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think they'll
That has
update
more
it
content.
with Mario's video of Mario's lethal injection?
It's
God.
not a
Features?
lethal injection. It's a guillotine, you uncultured swine.
Guillotine.
Oh
As
fuck!
they, hit, as they hit the switch, he goes, "Mamma mia!"
Do you think Yoshi's just standing there like, yeah, motherfucker, this is what you get?
Yeah, punch
It's
me in
a
the
me.
head, dude.
No, it's all being. We know it's all being orchestrated by Waluigi. So the year.
Yeah, the execution. takes
We're
off the
never
head.
gonna get a year of Waluigi. Okay, any
Do
Waluigi
you
fans
want
out
my
there?
now extra mate to
Fuck
cry?
you.
2020 was the year of Waluigi.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry. So back to this Night Trap 25th anniversary edition. This, like I said, this thing kind of fucking rules. There are interviews, behind the scenes photos, including a complete scan of the dot matrix printout showing the flow chart of the shoot. The playable prototype we talked about is there. Scene of the crime in the last episode.
Yeah, but you gotta get a perfect run to get it.
Yeah, that's true. The theater cut, which connects all the scenes together in chronological order, and apparently there's commentary, which we didn't even get to listen to
Oh,
yet. Which
fuck.
I know.
Oh, that would've been
I wish
Yeah,
we
we gotta unlock that.
we do. There's extra modes, deleted sequences. There's outtakes. Because a bunch of this, is already missing from our playthroughs, but yeah, all the more reason to go back to it. But as Matt, there are builds of every prior version of this that was out. Like, they're just thrown in. Like, I think it says, I don't know if it says 32X or CD. It just says 92, 94.
It says 90, 92, 94, 95,
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
And it's like, so yeah, you can look at all the differences between the builds. It's like
the Sega CD 32X 3DO and
Yeah.
then the re-release.
Yes.
All those
yeah.
YouTubers are doing like port difference videos.
Like the
don't even
Max
have that-
DOS version, because I think the one documentary came from those director's cuts, and this on top of all the technical work they did, the night and day higher resolution, better audio, easier controls, more intuitive UI, a checkpoint system.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, the side by side they did was just nuts to see in action. I'm not exactly sure how those folks in the early '90s even beat this thing back then.
Yeah.
So I don't know who. Did anybody want to maybe like explain before we close out, just kind of like looking at those two things
Well,
like side to side?
it's why I keep making jokes about how everything was so pixelated. It is impossible to see what's going on. No wonder why everyone on the Senate couldn't thought
they
that
were
this girl was
squinting,
getting
being
raped.
like, "Is
yeah.
that?"
No wonder why they didn't get the good scene. They just couldn't see it. Like,
Yeah, it really is like side by side. First of all, I think you've mentioned a couple times in the new version,
Yeah.
you like the interface. The interface is completely redone.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you get a little thumbnail of what's going on the other cameras
Yeah.
in the corner. So
That wasn't there before. I didn't
no,
even realize.
it's like it just had lists of
It's like
rooms.
static
So you-
and-
it just
Yeah.
had buttons that said bedroom.
Well, I
bedroom.
think there's like a crude drawing, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like a button that says.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and so one of the things that made this game playable, besides checkpoints, without a doubt, in
Yeah.
this version, is you can kind of see when the augurs are passing by rooms you're not looking at.
Yes,
'cause
and you know
can
when
see-
to switch.
You can kind of see it like jump a little bit, like the
Yes.
footage, because it's a static picture
Yeah.
when
Did-
nothing's happening,
do you
and then
think
it
that
switches
The
to
the light, the blinking light, was there in the
Oh,
first
I don't
one?
remember.
It must have,
I'm not
because
sure.
otherwise, how would you ever know when you missed
when you
it?
even missed
Right.
one,
The counter
yeah.
is there.
And the counter is there, and it really does
Yes.
like those quality of life.
Yeah.
But the counter worked differently.
Oh
You don't remember that?
no.
So in the
Refresh my-
re-release,
Yeah.
the counter updates when they appear.
Yeah, so you can know when there's one on screen because the counter will go up when they appear. But I guess in the
Oh.
other
In the
one,
original one,
right.
it's either when you catch them or miss them that both counters update.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. But there is the timer is there.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's like, and I'm not sure if maybe the timing windows could be a little different. That's possible, but everything is much more generous.
Play it
is our
for
point.
30 seconds so you could see. Do not beat that game.
Yes, because
Yeah.
did we do that?
I think we tried one of the OG ones for like all of
Okay.
a minute, and we discovered we're like, oh, this is very. And I think really just the whole thing is like it
Just
took us.
bouncing between, yeah.
It was fun for us to play through it.
And
To do the
figure it out.
100% was work. I could not imagine
Yeah.
even trying to beat that game.
It's
in
that
the
is
early
just
night.
pure memorization.
It's
at
pure
that point.
memorization. It's like
Yeah.
you must have really, really wanted to beat that.
I
game.
do, but they tucked away some of the good prizes though of
Here we go.
Well, yeah.
not just trophies or achievements.
We got to play. Yeah, we got to play the security system game because we 100%ed it.
You're
I
not
finally found it. The resolution of the original Night Trap
wrong. Okay.
was 256 by 224.
Oh man, and this is glorious
1080p.
HD. Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Where's our 4K version?
I can see why the cinematographer was like, "Don't make it too dark," because you can totally
You
see.
wouldn't have been able to see anything.
Totally.
It would have been all just blocky.
But yeah, like, so Director Riley, he really, he foresaw the importance of holding on to the ingredients that allowed this re-release to get produced. Not just with copying the reel, but with each document telling the story of Night Trap's entire life, all in that big black binder. Preserving that history is essential to me. I really do stand behind that, even for things as silly as this. Of course, like, now it's effortlessly available out there for everyone to relive, or like us, live for the first time.
Wait, what was the name of the guy that worked on the re-release?
It's Hogel. I'm trying to find his first name.
Yeah.
I had it here.
I found a
That's where the
blog.
screaming villains.
I found a blog from 2014 of somebody breaking down how to rip all the videos out of the.
Oh wow, well, that was
32X version?
before he was like, he made that, like his mobile,
Demo.
Yeah, that was the 2014 would have been the Kickstarter that I guess what they were planning to
wait.
do.
Dave Voiles is the name of this guy. Oh, it's 2015. 7/17/2015. It's
that name sounds familiar.
It's a blog of how to. He said he ported Night Trap to a browser, and he's detailing how he did it.
That's really cool. Is that available? That would be a great way to get people to play that game.
But the 32X version, that's the less
This is
sexy
great.
one.
I felt it was useful to use the 32X version, which had a higher resolution. I acquired a 32X version, mounted the ISO, and ran a tool I created called SCAT, or the SGA conversion and analysis
oh,
tool.
that is great.
Brilliant.
That's a true fan right there.
Yeah.
That's good. Send me that link because I want to check out his project work.
But that is the tale of Night Trap. It's complete insane ride, and while it continues to, in many conversations, get a bad rap for its flaws and roller coaster of controversy, it is undeniably influential, with its core DNA being a major blueprint and the foundation for the Five Nights at Freddy's series, even.
Yeah, it really does feel like a prototype Five Nights at Freddy's.
An IP with a level of recognition that I'm still kind of baffled by. Those games don't particularly do it for me, but they have their fans and they are passionate.
Hot take: Night Trap's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where's our Night Trap fucking swag at toy stores like Five Nights at Freddy keeps getting?
Yeah, where's my VR Night Trap?
Yeah.
Where's my
Yeah.
8,000
The reboot?
different night
Yeah, I
traps?
know.
Where's
One
my
every,
my blind box vinyls of Night or vinyl figurines of Night Trap? Where's my fucking ray trace Night Trap? Five Nights at Freddy's is getting a ray trace
Are you
sequel.
kidding me?
Yeah.
You know what's funny about
Security breach?
both those games too? They have the same ESRB rating. It's just one appeals to little kids and the other are
Yeah. Where's Howie Lincoln taking Five Nights at Freddy's to the Supreme Court being like, Five Nights at Freddy's will never be on a Nintendo
is Five
console.
Nights at Freddy's on a Nintendo console?
I have no clue.
I don't, okay, probably.
It has
to be,
It's on
right?
everything. At this point, I assume.
It's on the Switch.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Everything's on the
notably,
fucking Switch.
probably 2 years after it came out.
I think it might also be on the Wii U.
I was
Not
gonna
all
say
of them, but the
Postal
original.
1 is on the Switch.
Yeah.
It's like $5.
Is that just what the Switch does? They're just like, hey, what PC game is super popular 2 years after
It's
it
what
came out?
any
And
no.
they
There's
just-
literally,
they
there's a
just let
Twitter. There's a
anybody.
Twitter account. Yeah, that's where do you think?
There's a bunch of mobile games
What
that
do
you could buy on this.
What do you think my
free mobile
roommate
games.
keeps getting? The Gal Gun shit. That's on the Switch.
I was gonna say there's some.
Questionable.
I can think of a list of 100 games that would blow Howie Lincoln's head off if he thought Night Trap was smut.
Yeah, right.
Blow it off like John Wilkes Booth. Howie Lincoln.
I get it.
Yeah,
With-
there you go.
with-
It's real.
Wrap the
with the light
background.
gun.
With the light gun, yeah.
With a super scope, yeah.
Yeah.
So we still owe it to our crew that for their essentially totally unplanned assistance and helping create video games official rating system in the North Americas. Absolutely vital for what the industry needed to grow. But otherwise, where exactly is everyone now? Well, as implied with the development of the Anniversary Edition, Digital Pictures is long gone. Going defunct around 1996 as profits declined following the loss of consumer interest in FMV gaming, as well as the market itself, pivoting direction. Flash Filmworks, a California effects studio, later acquired the rights to some of their games and assets, which in turn, I think this led to remasters of a couple of their other titles, like Corpse Killer, to get distributed again. That's also a light gun game, similar to Lethal Enforcers, but under Digital Pictures. Rob Fulop went to work at Zynga for a little before unfortunately losing his job there due to health-related reasons, something he did sue in violation for in return. Thankfully, he did bounce back and even pursued a career in indie rock as a jazz pianist for
Hell
several
yeah,
years.
dude.
Whoa.
Yeah,
All
which
these
is
people
rad.
rule.
I know.
Man.
As far as I'm aware, Tom Zito and James Riley are still in business together over at Night Trap LLC. Who knows? Maybe we will get
Yeah.
that sequel one day.
Shout out to both those dudes.
Right? Seriously.
Wasn't it James Riley who in the first documentary was like, I'm sure in 20, 25
Yes.
years we'll be doing this
I'm
again?
glad you pointed that out. And then it's just that we watch the second documentary back to back, and it's him older again, being pulling out the same thing. He's like,
Okay, well,
here
once
we go."
again, here we are.
Tragically, our lead star, Dana Plato, is no longer with us. She passed away on May 8th, 1999. The 20th anniversary is dedicated to her. And Sega, well, that's anybody's guess. Licensing out Sonic for his soon-to-be cinematic universe, but I don't know. That's all I got.
And for Sonic and Shrek porn.
I don't think Sega's behind that.
Then who's making it?
That sweaty dude in a basement with Steam Movie Maker or whatever it's called.
I do apologize. I didn't mean to end on such a downer there with Dana. That's why I tried with that Sega joke. But it's
Nah.
Sega's making Yakuza, which
true.
rules.
Yeah. But
That's actually true. Night Trap outlived Sega. Think about that.
What a weird way to
Night Trap.
Night Trap
Once
outlived
again,
Sega.
I would like to point out, Sega, still a company. They just don't make consoles
They don't make
anymore.
consoles.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
I guess that's...
They're still making the Shrek, SpongeBob, and Sonic porn.
They also own Atlas, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So
And
Yeah,
just
they're
like
doing
every
just
just
fine.
like every Japanese video game company, they make they probably make medical equipment and also own
Health clubs
own a
and-
couple gyms and
Yeah,
some
and
pachinko
They make
Orange
orange
machines,
juice.
orange
Yeah.
juice.
Jinx.
Yeah, they make defibrillators, and whenever you press the pallets, it goes Sega.
Sega did make like credit card machines that when you use them, the Sonic
It
ring.
stole your ID.
No, it played the Sonic ring sound. So
Gotta
you
go fast to a
you'd
lawyer.
use your credit card. You'd use your credit card, and it would go ding.
I'm not even
That's
joking.
it. They
There is a
people have
gas
reported-
station
Wait,
in,
that had
in
that?
Jersey City where whenever I put in the
Yeah.
and it said transaction confirmed, it was the ring noise.
I don't know if Sega was behind the hardware or the software, but that is like officially like was.
I've encountered that in the wild.
It's very weird.
Also, RIP to Konami's health clubs that they had to close.
Also, RIP to Matt's many debit cards that somehow the information just kept getting stolen.
I
know,
will say-
dude, it was fucking Dr.
I will
Robotnik.
say, jokes aside, Sega had the right idea at bouncing out of the console business game, 20 years ago because it's.
What are you talking about? It's doing great.
Well,
There's
yeah,
plenty
right
of them
now,
for
especially.
enough people.
But yeah, they're just like, fuck it, we'll just make games.
Yeah, speaking of Christmas presents that people got Randy, I got him a PS5 or part of a PS5.
I paid for it.
I know. I'm just saying.
With your life.
Night Trap, though.
I had to fight a
Night
person
Trap,
for that.
Night Trap.
Give it a shot. Especially if you are into schlock or just like seeing such a, just
I'd say if you
an odd, just an oddity of
an
the,
oddity. It
of
was
the
very
time.
if you're very much into, I would say, camp and
Yeah.
I would say 80s sitcoms and just the general charm of low budget productions.
Or-
all of those things are up here. It's
Absolutely.
right
I
up your
think
alley.
what Chelsea said, the Goosebumps, early Nickelodeon
Yeah.
shows, or Are You Afraid of the Dark or Tales from the Crypt?
Yes, it's got that
It's-
same.
Yeah,
vibe.
Tales
like-
from the Crypt, notorious for being on Nickelodeon.
No, Are You Afraid of the Dark was. I was gonna say Salute Your Shorts, but that wasn't the horror theme
Are
one.
you afraid of the dark? Is it feels like a very common
It's
a very,
yeah,
Spooky.
very
It's
similar
kids' Tales
feel.
for the Crypt.
yeah. It's like
Yeah.
Hey Dude,
Hey, dude.
how's that? It's
I
like
don't know what that
Nickelodeon Guts.
Nickelodeon guts.
But as I think, and as Chelsea said, it's like $15. I think it goes on sale pretty often too.
$15.
It's currently on the Switch. Sorry, the
No, it can't
the Nintendo
possibly
Switch,
be on the Switch.
the PlayStation and Steam.
I guess
Oh.
they switched their minds, huh?
Yeah. Hey, Howard Lincoln. Suck it. I just get real close to the mic.
And
that-
if and you know,
That's
and-
just the ending clip. Just suck it, Howard.
Suck it, Howard.
but if you hate it, that's fine too. I get it. Just let us know. We loved it.
we liked it. Yes.
Yeah. And also, Matt, as you said, it's just I love it. I just it's so adorable how fondly the cast and crew look back on it.
It
and,
really is.
And just how much of a blast it looked like it was to shoot. Like you don't hear that a lot in video games when they're doing the
No.
Scooby Doo thing and just
Yeah.
playing around. Like
if you buy it and play it and you don't like it, that's fine. But do yourself a favor and watch those documentaries. 'cause
yes,
it really
and they are
is,
on YouTube as well.
and they're on YouTube as well.
It gives so much context.
It does. I think, and they are very entertaining.
And I feel like most behind the scenes like stories of game development are just like it was miserable. Like there's one on a PlayStation Underground CD, so it's the last thing I had that it's like I think it was behind the scenes of Gran Turismo 1.
Yeah, where the guy's like, I have a cot right here under my desk. I haven't seen my family in 4 months.
Yeah.
They're keeping me hostage here.
And you're just and then meanwhile you look at this, they're just like, I don't know, he duct taped a bunch of garbage bags to somebody.
Had a lot of fun. It was a good time. Met lifelong friends. Gran Turismo guy's like, they give me 1 bowl of rice a day.
Sometimes I get to go home, but I'm only allowed to shower and then I have to come back because there's no shower here.
All right.
But yeah, thank you everyone for
Night Trap.
sticking with us. I would not have predicted that this would have been 2 full-length episodes, but I'm glad it was.
Yes,
was a
I'm
good
very
time.
glad.
It was-
I'm super glad
so
that I have to edit this.
It was an honor. I'm glad that this was like, you know,
And we got to share that just wonderful song with everyone.
yeah.
Wait,
look
which
that up.
song?
The night. Oh,
Night
Night
Love
Trap.
Sha- oh,
got me a
Ripping-
Chrysler. It seats about 20. So come on and bring your Night Trap money.
I think only one of those 2 songs has a ripping guitar solo in it, and it's not Love Shack.
No, it's not. There are multiple ripping guitar solos in them. So stay tuned after the plugs to hear more ripping guitar.
Yeah, don't get caught in the night. Night Trap.
I guess the beginning of this episode will have
Yeah.
ripping guitar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
the end of the
perfect
last one.
Mhm.
Segue into it all.
I actually I deleted all the music I have on like my computer and phone and tablet and just replaced every song with Night Trap.
with Night Trap.
And actually, if you listen to this, it's too late. I've already done it to your computer and devices too.
35,000 plays.
All right.
Yeah, I guess yes, we can call it.
Can I go home now?
No.
You won't let me leave.
All right, Austin, you want to do our close us out,
Yeah.
and then you're just looking over at the length. It's
All right. Well, thanks for listening to what I assume will amount to about 3
how many
hours
playthroughs?
and some change of Night Trap content.
How many playthroughs of Night Trap are these 2 episodes put together?
Yeah, fun fact, if you play through Night Trap, you could and listen to both parts of these episodes, you could probably beat the game twice
Yeah.
Yeah.
in that time.
Night Trap.
So, but thank you for listening. We will be back in 2 weeks with a non-Night Trap episode. I lied about it being a Night Trap podcast.
A non-Night
What?
Trap.
What am I even doing here?
Yeah.
I don't want to
It's
listen
going to
anymore.
become a I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream podcast.
Oh, all right,
from
I'm
now
back
on.
on board.
Oh yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, just all
That
Harlan
doesn't.
Ellison.
Yeah, but that doesn't have a good tune. I could sing the whole time.
It probably
No.
does.
Yeah.
Probably has a similar quality song.
There's
Honestly.
too many syllables in the.
I was.
Yeah.
I was literally. I don't know.
I
if
know.
you're
I
looking
saw.
at-
I saw
yeah.
the gears turning over there.
I was really trying, and I was like, "This don't even." No. I have no mouth, but I must scream.
We gotta stop.
All right. Okay.
Good night.
Find us on.
So
on
yeah,
something.
so thanks for listening. You can find more episodes, including the ESRB 3-parter and a bunch of the other ones we
Yes.
shouted out
Yeah.
at hotbuttoncast.com, and subscribe on whatever podcast service you use. We're on pretty much all of them.
As far as I know.
If we're not, email us at hotbuttonpodcast@gmail.com and say, hey, you're not on like Blipper or whatever stupid app you use. Just use Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Come on. But yeah, you can also follow our socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at HotButtonCast. We'll be posting there.
Yeah.
And that's it. Also,
That's
playing some Night Trap.
Yes.
Excuse me. I gotta email Hot Button.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Chelsea.
Night Trap.
Yeah, stand up out of this chair. You're on comfy couch.
I gotta peel myself off this.
Yeah, my ass hurts. Just end the episode with that.
Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
Cut.